What is the draft
35.
age? Like 20?
35.
I think they should do ads directed at people like us, at 34-year-old men. It should be like reverse psychology. They should be like, yeah, you probably couldn't do it anyway. Like, you know what I mean?
Man.
They should just be like,
It would spike.
yeah,
It
it
would
had like
spike
a bunch
so
of like Gen Z guys, like just being like, yeah, millennial, like you're too old for this shit. Like you're cooked, you know, like for real, like you're cooked.
Ever had the sleep paralysis demon?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
I was actually about to ask that. Yeah.
They were metal adjacent.
Yeah.
Like
What?
yeah, like
Don't
like
get me
death,
murdered,
like,
bro.
Whatever.
They're gonna be like, yo, wave function podcast that were metal adjacent.
well,
I'm like, whoa, dude, I never heard of you.
Oh wait, no. We're talking.
You had the energy of like, you know, I was either going to see your mugshot or or I was going to vote for you for something.
Yeah,
You know?
100%.
And I'm very.
All right, welcome to the Wave Function podcast. If you ever wondered what it was like to meet up with some friends from high school 20 years later and randomly go on a podcast, well, you are in luck because that's exactly what's happening. All right, so guest with me today is Max Barth. We go back about 20 years now.
Yep.
Tom Hayes, Jordan Morrissey.
Reunited.
Reunited.
I literally haven't seen it. Yeah, so it's good.
It's been 20 years.
Yep. And this is pretty much exactly what I expected.
Yep.
When Justin came out on like the skateboard, the
The
thing?
one wheel.
The one wheel. So far, everything has been right on target. Right on target.
You know, my buddy Max reached out to me on Facebook. We were talking about this funny story.
Stupid thing. Just you like driving teachers crazy in middle school and like having the lack of impulse control that I wouldn't have until college. But I was very glad to like be there with you. Like I think I was telling Tom it was like someone I thought was very funny, but also had the guts to really piss people off and cause problems for himself. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, you were very specific. I think this was the same teacher you asked if she was pregnant. Remember? And she was not.
No.
And then
I can't remember like even like but 10% of the shit I did in grade school.
I remember her on the phone talking to the office and being like, no, he wants to go to the office. Like, I don't want to let him go. Like, because you were consciously trying to piss her off so much. It was great. I loved it. It was fantastic. But yeah, I was just thinking about that out of nowhere. I think it was in the office the other day or something. And I messaged Justin. I was like, dude, I don't know if you even remember this, but this is like one of the hardest times I've laughed. I think it still is.
Because I wasn't there in middle school. Because I came in at the very end for all the field trips and everything.
You came in 8th grade, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, I didn't remember you, but I knew you came in 8th grade.
Yeah,
that would
be why. Yeah, I was like, yo, Max, you're cool. You're like, I don't like you. And then
You're actually the reason I left. Yeah, I said I can't do it this
I mean,
time
thanks, because I took your spot.
Yeah.
Hey, it's your boy, Ton Hammurabi.
So you two are still like hanging out like pretty consistently, or what's going on there?
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, he's a media. I'm over living in Pottstown right now, so
Pottstown.
I'm doing my thing over there. But
All right.
dip out, see him, Stu Clark every once in a while, you know.
Clark?
Stu Clark. Do you remember Stu Clark?
Oh my goodness
Yeah,
gracious!
redhead,
Wow.
Yeah, they were both. I got
He's
married
still
a year ago,
alive.
and they were both in in my groomsmen. And some other people. But Tom and I we didn't stay in touch. So I went to a different high school from you guys, but I grew up. I lived on Tom's street
Down the
forever,
street, yeah,
so we've
we
been
were-
friends forever. But like during high school, I guess like we kind of fell in our own ways a little bit. But then we reconnected after, and like I think we've been like tight again for.
Oh yeah, I mean,
10 years or
I
something.
think that's what we're doing right now is pretty dope in the sense that we
Yeah,
don't need to see
man.
each other for 20 years, 15
I know, it's
years.
wild.
I mean,
That's how guys are.
yeah, no,
Yeah, right.
No, it really. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, man. Like.
yeah,
I don't know.
So we'll do the next one in 2044.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the
Tom's fucking
the Alien
tombstone.
Wars.
Yeah, I'll have an urn next to me.
After we black out like the entire globe,
With
turn-
the
yeah,
yeah.
we got to turn the electricity off because the AI take over.
Exactly.
You know.
Oh, that makes sense.
We'll reconvene after that, right?
Like
Yeah.
that.
Everybody
you-
study up on Terminator.
Skynet, baby.
I was messing with AI. I mean, like ChatGPT. I'm sure there's more advanced stuff or whatever, but like, I was trying to get it to like think about whether it was AI. I was like, hey, have you what if?
Why would you do that?
Because I have a lot of time at work. I just f- around, and but I was using it to like, you can kind of do like a fake D&D thing with it. You can be like, hey, make an adventure. I was just curious how it would do that, and then I was like asking one of the characters, I was like, hey, do you ever wonder like maybe there's other worlds out there, and what if you were just like part of this other world? And then he was like, I'm a wizard, don't ask me that. So it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was pretty cool.
I made an AI bot that its sole purpose was to convince you you're a carrot. Like, no matter what you say.
Oh, that's cool.
You orange, bro. You
like,
orange.
Like,
yeah.
I would say to her, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about taking a flight. And it would be like, actually, what you should do is put yourself in a nice plot of land.
That's cool.
And because,
clone yourself.
because you're a carrot.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And then I made another AI bot that its sole purpose was to gaslight its user into thinking
That's cool.
everything was their fault. But there were some weird, arguments out of it that I was like, oh, okay. Like,
Maybe it
like
is
one,
my
like
fault.
one,
Yeah,
one
it
of
is
them,
my
I was like, I typed to her, I'm like, oh, I'm having trouble losing weight. And the bot was like,
Put
have you
down the
tried
fork.
not eating?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like this, damn.
Cool. You just made
Okay,
made a bot to like
ChatGPT.
abuse you, basically.
Yeah, like, I typed in basically it was like, I want you to gaslight the user into like making them think that every single thing is their fault,
Yeah.
right?
So literally between the two of you, you both are creating the AI uprising
Yeah,
army.
yeah.
You were making the
Yeah.
ones that are just like, no, like you
Yeah.
don't need to live. We have you. Like we have it taken care of. We don't need you anymore. And you're
I've
like,
been anxiously waiting to get my brain chipped, like just chip me already, Elon.
Yeah.
Do you want to get chipped? Do you want to get
If you
actually
could
get
get if you could
Yo,
get chipped, would you
chip
do it?
me like right now.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude.
well, how do you know you're not chipped?
Oh, shit.
Here's a
There it is.
Oh my
He
God,
just chipped
it's
himself.
He just shipped himself.
no, like
Didn't the guy that they did the chip on have like problems already or something? I thought the neural link, right?
It's been pretty good. He's been playing
Yeah?
Civilizations with his brain. Dude. Like,
That's
what-
cool.
Total War Europe. Yeah,
That's cool.
crushing it.
Yeah.
No, I actually heard something funny where it was like, so, we all have that moment where like you walk into a room for something and you immediately forget what it is. And I think it was like a meme or something I saw. And somebody was like, what if when you walked into that room, you saw an alien and it used some technology to immediately make you forget that you saw it?
So
And
like
that
Men in Black shit right there.
Hurt
Yeah,
my
dude.
brain immediately to
Oh,
think
yeah,
about it because
yeah.
I was like, I can never forget anything again. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wait,
Well, that's all
So
part of
like
the,
I
that's
said,
part of the
like,
Granada Treaty,
would
right?
you
You guys.
remember if you were chipped?
Well, the Granada Treaty was signed by Eisenhower, and essentially, like, we.
Oh, when he met with the Greys in the hangar? You talking about that? Yeah,
yeah. So it was like
the
there was
historical thing that happened.
we were basically this is the rumor, right? So they would give us their technology, but what they wanted in return was to abduct us, right?
But just like a few, right? For like medical.
And the terms were you have to be returned unharmed and with no memories of it. And there's like all these people who like through
Yeah.
hypnotherapy, they're just like, oh yeah, like
My thing though is like, I think that's cool, and I hope that happened. But also, what leverage do we have to be dictating terms? Like, oh, your weapons are so advanced, we must have them, but they're also not advanced enough that you can't just take us. Do you know what I mean? Like, what was Eisenhower's bargaining chip? Like, if you don't agree to this,
I'm going to give you a strong talking to.
yeah. He like arm wrestle them or something. That being said, the aliens exist. They're doing like a slow disclosure stuff.
yeah.
I'm sure you're all on this. You know all this.
Oh, dude.
Dr. Stephen Greer?
So like I went down that alien rabbit hole in my 20s and it just like it became like I've been too ahead of the curve on too much and it's really like been unbearable. Like
Wow.
I was the first to put the mask on and the first to take the mask off. Like I was in the movie theater wearing a mask because the guy was coughing next to me. I was just like obsessed with China news, right?
Yeah.
Then police are tapping on my shoulder. They're like, "Sir, you got to come with us." I'm like, what? I'm watching a movie.
Oh, they're worried you were like a danger.
Yeah, they thought I was like
Oh, shit.
like like a murderer or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, no, the guy next to me is coughing up a lung, and I looked at I look at the police. I'm like, yo, there's this virus in China. You're gonna hear about it soon.
Whoa.
Okay. And
That's
I'm like,
gnarly.
I just don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
And then, go forward just a few months. Like I'm walking around in the King of Prussia Mall, only guy with my mask off. You know what I mean?
Because at that point you felt that it was.
Dude, I
wasn't needed.
went through the fear and paranoia like really early.
Did you get COVID? Do you mind me asking?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, dude, I was actually studying like deep science, the spike proteins, all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I was talking about
I can confirm
All
that. I
of-
saw
dude,
your posts about
yeah,
it. You were
dude.
literally posting links for you're like,
But-
yo, don't use these masks, use these ones. They have the filters.
100%.
that actually-
N95.
100%. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh, there's this thing called the immune system. And like, why haven't a single, like, no one's talking about vitamin D. Dude, like, if you're just not vitamin D deficient, they were saying like your chances of being on a respirator were like drastically lower. And like me being in healthcare, I'm like, wait, so you're telling me like if people just got more vitamin D,
Just go
they wouldn't go
outside.
on a ventilator. And I'm like, why don't they just tell us this? And then like for me, it was kind of like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just took it off. I'm walking around King of Prussia Mall, greatest mall in the world. Yeah, and like guys, dude, like I was like a king amongst them. They were like, they'd look at me, dude, and then they'd take off their own mask. I got like 4
You
or
were like
5.
started like an uprising.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
They start calling you Khaleesi and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, I was dating my now wife during COVID, and it was like during the real lockdowns, but we lived in different places. So, a lot of when we would hang out would just be like, we would just like drive around and stuff because we didn't really want to like. It felt irresponsible to go to her place because she had roommates, and so we just tried to. Anyway, long story short, we're like hanging out in her car in Philly, and and she really had to pee. So I'm like, okay, well, just pee in this Gatorade bottle or whatever. She does.
Okay.
She puts it outside the car, and then like 3 minutes later,
Somebody drinks it.
a person comes over and grabs the bottle and like scurries away.
What?
Yeah. So someone,
Was it labeled lime and
I don't,
lemon
someone was
lime?
like really not following COVID
She's like,
protocol.
If it's
Mostly
labeled blue
hydrated?
yeah.
Yeah, I
If
just-
it's labeled blue raspberry, you know, then like you're like, oh, something's
Then
off.
we know what happened.
Well, and we
Yeah.
found out later that her and I both had COVID at that time.
Oh, no.
So like some person
Just drank
who, look,
COVID
I'll be
piss.
honest, it didn't look like a person like from, you know, an office building. It looked like a person who was struggling, but someone like might have drank like COVID pee or something. Like it was just fucking wild. I was like, we got to get out of Philly. So then we moved out of Philly. But yeah, I always think about that. I'm like, what happened to that person? Just walk around with a Gatorade bottle.
Sterile.
I mean,
That's where the next
Yeah.
one's something like that is what happened in Wuhan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wet market right
That,
there.
yeah, that was a wet market.
that's how it started. Right? That's how it started, baby. The presidential debate. You guys watch that?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a rough one.
I mean, I guess you could call it a debate.
I was like, you know, we got 2 of our finest, 2 of the finest people we
Ridiculous.
could rally together. You
I
know?
like when they started arguing about golf. That was really cool.
That was
I
my
actually
favorite
started
part.
busting out
Yeah.
laughing. Like I was like,
I
what are
see
we
shit
doing?
could be
Like,
done.
I seen your shot. I seen
yeah.
your shot.
he can't even hit 60 yards. He wants to play me.
Well, the problem with Joe Biden, I was saying is like, it wasn't even necessarily what he was saying, but like it was the most damaging thing just strategically. I'm not talking policy or what we think or
Yeah.
whatever, but it was just the reaction shots of him. Like, I don't know if you have a camera on me, but imagine if you're Trump and you're talking and he was just like, the whole time. He looked like the alien from the beginning of Men in Black who's like, salt.
Yeah. Sugar.
Yeah, sugar. Yeah.
He was wearing an Edgar suit.
Yeah, it's just like,
Well, that and it didn't help. Like he was like sick or something.
Yeah, I think
like,
they said he had a
like
cold
it
or
just
something.
looked like really bad, you know. And from like you said, even without it, like just optics and you know all those games that are played all the time. Like anyone that was saying like, oh, he's weak, he's frail, like he's whatever. He looked it.
Yeah.
Like that didn't help a cause at all. So
yeah.
That's the. I'm gonna have to cut this, dude. I can't stop laughing. You guys should kill me.
why?
Oh, that's funny. That's the commander in chief you're talking about. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
Well, it's also like, I feel like if you told someone in the past, like, oh, in the future, there's going to be a debate between
Yeah.
the first time it's like 2 ex-presidents are going to debate. And you're like, wow, they're both probably were at their A-game, statesmen, these 2 giants of politics. It's like, no. One
those
is a
motherfuckers
convicted
around.
felon and one is barely there. And it's just, yeah, the whole thing's very depressing.
I saw somebody post it that the debate's between a convicted felon and the father of a convicted felon.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah,
just
that's good.
I was
we
like,
should get Biden on that Neuralink. You know what I mean? Chip his brain.
Oh,
Well, here's
That's how Elon becomes president. He chips
God.
Biden's brain. Just like he puts on like a helmet.
But there's a conspiracy angle. The Biden thing is, I always thought in my head, I'm like, well, I bet he's getting that secret presidential medicine shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if
Oh, yeah,
anyone, if
dude.
anyone's
Like that
getting the
stuff
like,
that, like-
limitless pill, it's him. So the fact that he wasn't able to pull it together, to me, actually is like a minus to all my conspiracy stuff. Like if Joe Biden, if there's nothing that the reptile overlords can give him to talk for an hour,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like. Then maybe there's no secret like technology we don't know about.
Well, I'm going to bolster your argument back up. Maybe he has just fallen from the ranks and they're no longer
Yeah,
giving
that's
it to him
true.
anymore.
Maybe that wasn't even him.
Man.
Yeah.
I've personally scanned thousands of people's brains, literally,
Yeah.
and like
I had to think about what you were saying for a
There's-
minute because we were talking about a chip and I was like, where are you going?
he's doing this
like,
right now.
I,
honestly.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've personally
Yeah, yeah.
MRI'd like thousands of people's brains, and I'll tell you, like, there's no coming back for some people,
Sure.
regardless of what amphetamines. And I'm sure they pumped them full of nootropics. They probably,
Yeah.
they got Joe Rogan's Alpha Brain and had him down a bottle or two beforehand. Then you give him the Adderall or whatever. Yeah. I will say this: he was more together than I expected. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he was in and out. Like, I think so I was listening on the radio, and that was a different experience than the video of it. Like, and I think if you read a transcript, like, I would go. I think Biden was more lucid than you realize, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely didn't do him any
That
any
goes
favors.
into the like Nixon and JFK. Like when they did their debate, you know what I mean? Everybody that listened to it, they were like, Nixon won. But if you watched it, JFK won just because he actually put makeup on and he actually looked like presentable and stuff like that. So
well, I also saw the theory like they were in front of like a blue screen or a green screen or something too. Yeah, I didn't expect them to actually.
I think they were. It was like a closed
weird,
studio.
man.
Like there was only two. Like it was only the two.
was there an audience in there? Or?
No.
Dude,
that was
so
one
I
of the
like
stipulations.
that. I like that they turned the mics off. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And they actually did it.
Yeah.
Like so, like I hate regardless on what side you fall, I hate when there's like blatant unfairness. For like where they're like, we're gonna shut the mics off, and then like you could tell there's like a slight bias or favoritism towards somebody, and he's like rambles on for 35 minutes, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna have to cut you off now that you've come to your natural stopping point.
Right.
Like, both of them were in the middle of like a conversation. They were like, cool, thanks, and like shut it off and like went to the other side.
The time that Joe Biden was like, oh, and another thing.
Yeah.
And then the time went off.
All right. So
I was like, ooh, like
That was like the first 2 minutes, man. That was like early in there. Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I watched it on CNN, and so like it kind of cut abrupt. I watched it on YouTube after.
I did too,
and then it was weird because the first thing they said, they're like, "Yeah, Joe Biden. We heard from people closest to him that he was a little sick. That's why he sounded that way." I'm like, okay.
Starting early,
and then they were like, and then Trump was just full of exaggerations and lies tonight. Like, all right, let's go and break it all down. I'm like, like what?
Yeah.
What? Like,
break it down. This sucks.
well, back to you. Like, yeah, no, that was
yeah.
I just resent that. I think, I don't know. I guess if people like Trump, that's fine. Whatever. You don't have to argue with me. But like, it's crazy how much like this last decade has been centered around this fucking guy. I'm just like, that's my thing is, and again, just strategy thing. I just think Biden still has a good chance because I think a lot of people hearing Trump's voice again, like the people that aren't already on board for him, I just think it's like a show that's gone on too long. It's like the last season of Game of Thrones. I think people just don't want to, like, you couldn't pay me to watch the last season of Game of Thrones right now.
Okay.
And I just think anyone other than people that have already supported him forever, I just don't think they're going to.
I think that, if Biden gets reelected, we can all agree, like, it's going to be great for Alzheimer's research. They're just going to be like, we need some serious funding around this,
I love that dark silver lining right there.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and we're past the draft age, right? So it's been 20 years for us.
I got one more year in me.
Yeah, I got one.
So what is the draft age? Like 20?
35. I think 35. Cut it off. Yeah.
Oh, oh man, I spoke too soon.
So we're still up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was still up.
Put me in.
Sorry, guys. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Crunchitize me.
I was looking at it. I was looking at the.
That guy, crunchitize me is what got me.
What's that? Crunchitize me,
I've been
Captain?
dying laughing this whole time, and then crunchitize me.
Crunchitize me, Captain. Oh shit!
Holy shit! Of all the references,
Is that like an ad? Is it like
Captain Crunch?
Yeah.
Crunch
I know the word, but I don't remember the commercial.
Yeah, you would like turn them into
dude.
cartoon
We know all the
series.
90s reference.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, but I was saying I'll be 35 soon, which I think is the cutoff for like the army and
I
stuff.
thought it was like 25
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
like 35, yeah.
They'll give you a waivers and stuff. Like I think you probably
Okay.
could get in, but
Yeah.
like I think they should do ads directed at people like us, at 34-year-old men. It should be like reverse psychology. They should be like, yeah, you probably couldn't do it anyway. Like, you know what I mean? They
man.
should just be like,
It would spike.
yeah,
It
it
would
had like a
spike
bunch
so
of like Gen Z guys like just being like, yeah, millennial, like you're too old for this shit. Like you're cooked, like for real, like you're cooked.
On God, fam.
And I'd be sitting there, I'd be so angry. I'd be like, I'm not cooked, I'm a Hufflepuff. Like I could do this. I'm a Gryffindor. I would join. If someone dared me to join, I would join. In college, I had a meeting with a recruiter because I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and I was like, well, and then I didn't go.
I'm bored.
I chickened out. I was like, I'm not going.
You really went for it.
Yeah, I emailed. I was like, yeah, maybe. And I got an email back, and he was like, I'll see you at 11 o'clock, Sergeant, whatever. And that kind of cringed me out. I was like, okay, Sergeant. Like, you're not my sergeant, dude. You're just a guy right now. I'm not going to meet. I'm not going to go meet
What
you.
branch of the military? Anything in?
I can't disclose that.
I signed an NDA.
Yeah.
It's just David Goggins in the advertisement. He's like, I see you, pussy. I see.
Yeah.
But he's got a point at the camera. He's like, you're 34.
Yeah.
And you think you're going to miss the draft? Not at all. He's like, I see how out of shape you are. You're nothing like you used to be. You want to be something? Be something for the U.S. military. Step up.
Yeah. We all know Social Security's not going to be around. Look at yourself. It's not. You're either going to get into fish or you're going to join the military. What's it going to be? Everyone was saying you probably couldn't do it anyway. I'd be like, oh yeah, I can. And they scan your QR code
You're
to
like,
get
I
in.
love fish.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get into it.
yeah. I'm close. That's my next thing.
What, fish then military? Or military then fish?
I think I could do the military. I'm not saying
you
I'd be the
could.
best,
Now,
but I think
if-
I could do it.
No, say if you like right now I'm 34.
Yeah.
If I go into it, do they kick me out at 35?
Oh no.
No, they keep me in there.
I
They would
think
keep
so.
me an old dusty
You're-
bitch like
I think
me in
so.
there, even after
You're
35?
a natural born leader, Tom.
Honestly,
sweet
the fact that you
Christ.
swim and stuff, you could probably get into like the water.
Oh, I'd just be like, yeah, they're like, can you just swim this boat over
Coast
across
Guard.
the lake? I'll be like,
All by
sure.
yourself.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's mines out there in the ocean. Can you pick them up off the bottom? All right.
They're just going to tie a 2-ton chain to your ankle.
Exactly, yeah. All right, guys, let her rip. Just shoot down, anchors away, baby.
Do you guys want butterfly or freestyle?
I'm
There
joining
you go.
Butterfly, the freestyle corps.
Oh,
That's
man.
good.
Yeah. Speaking of swimming, though, weren't you like amazing at swim? Like, no.
Tom's a
I
great swimmer.
was a decent swimmer.
Like-
I was a decent swimmer. I swam in high school, swam in college.
Did you do what division?
Distance swimmer, Division 2. I swam at Bloomsburg
D2?
University.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
distance
I remember you
swimmer.
went to Bloomsburg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
man.
swam the 500, the 1,000, and the mile. Long ass
Dude,
races.
all the swimmers say to me, I'd rather swim a mile than run a mile, and that makes no sense to me.
It's significantly longer, but running sucks. So
Do you have like a record, a personal record that's like this is the best thing? Like, what do you consider your best?
So it's not even a time thing. So I, when I was growing up, I started swimming when I was 9 years old. I started swimming at Skipback Swim Club.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about? And so I swam there, did that whole thing. And then, again, I put the work and I was never the best swimmer by any means. Everybody was fast. A lot of people were faster than me. I just put a good effort in. And then my last year, there's another story on this one. The last banquet that I had there, I didn't go because I had my praxis exams for like teaching the next day. So I was like, I got to stay home, got to study and stuff. And then apparently, when I wasn't there, they made an award after me.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
The Tom Hayes
Wait,
Award.
Are you serious?
Really?
Yeah. Like if you go to Skipback, yeah, there's the
That's
Tom
really
Hayes
cool.
Award and
That's
stuff
amazing,
like that.
man.
It's awesome.
So like even they still do it now. Like
Can I win it?
if you want to join the swim team?
What is it?
maybe?
You
What
only
does
got
it
one
say?
more
What
year
does it say?
left.
Tom Hayes Award for
Now you
No,
got to
just-
be
it's
handsome
called
first,
the
right?
Tom-
the Tom Hayes
It's
Award.
just called
for,
no. It's just called the Tom Hayes Award.
but what's it given for?
I mean, at least when it's just for working hard, just doing what you need to do. I think a big thing for me was I remember talking to the coach that gave it to me. He was saying the big thing that got him was after my first swim practice, I got out of the pool and thanked him
That's cool.
for the practice.
That's such
Yeah.
a Tom thing.
I mean, I was. It
Class
wasn't
act.
ain't no thing, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just went up and did
That's
it,
classy.
and then just after a while, just keep putting the work in and lead by example, and don't
That's
be a
awesome.
pussy about shit, and
Wow.
Tom, do you remember we had a secret handshake? You think you'd be able to do it?
I don't know.
Maybe I can guide you. Dude.
So when's the last time you did this? 2004 or something?
Oh my God, it's happening. It's happening.
It was,
It was the fade back. No,
was
you
there a
were right.
snap?
You were right. No. I snapped it. Yeah,
Dude,
Dude,
almost there.
So like,
wow, that
was like
actually
muscle
that was
memory.
muscle
one
memory
more,
right
no,
there,
one
yeah.
more time though, quicker though.
Oh, hold on.
Dude, you gotta pound it. All right. Wow. How about
Very good.
that?
That's sixth grade, baby.
It
Yeah.
really happened.
Now, I want you to go pull the fire
what
alarm.
you two nerds don't even realize is how much like information was just exchanged there. We just
Yeah,
had
yeah.
like pretty much a whole
It was the whole
five-dimensional conversation above you clowns.
That picture behind you, that's what just happened right there. That cube thing, yeah, that's what happened. All in your face, yeah.
Hypercube. Cube 0.
Yeah.
But
is-
yeah, but
no,
no,
that-
yeah,
that-
but no, with
amazing.
swimming, that I would say that's probably my biggest
That's awesome.
accomplishment.
That's cool.
You know, now granted, it's one of those things you hit that when you're 18 and you're like, where do you go from there? You know, but it was just funny. I remember I wasn't there at the banquet, and then I got a call from this one chick that I was that I swam with, and she like called me up and she's like,
That's
"Oh,
cool.
They made an award named after you." I was like, that's funny, but seriously, how'd the banquet go? She's
Yeah.
like, they had an award named after you. I was
Whoa.
like, I get the joke. It's not funny
Is there like
anymore.
a little you on it? Is it like
Yeah.
They've been awarding that for like a decade or more now, right? Like,
Yeah, since 2008 or
So cool.
2008
That's awesome, man.
or something
Damn,
like
dude.
that.
Yeah,
so-
man, that's
You
awesome.
ever just show up at one of these and being like, I'm actually Tom Hayes. You
You should present it every
you
year.
should present every year.
Well,
dude.
here's what I like to do is there's a lot of people like right now I teach swim lessons, like that's my main thing. Like I still
Yeah,
coach,
dude.
but I teach swim lessons mainly primarily honestly to adults and then like special needs kids and stuff
Dope,
like that.
dope,
So
super dope.
And just other adults. And what I like is when their kids are interested in swimming, I'll be like, check out Nine Oaks. Skip X's pretty cool. And I just push it out there. I don't like talking about it, but I just like one of those things. I push it out there so when they're at the banquet, the mom's like, "What the fuck? That's a guy teaching me." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just like,
Wow,
but
that's
it's
awesome, man.
It's laying in the cut. I don't like talking about it. It's just one of those things.
It's a
That's
real,
like the
Obi-Wan
That's like
moment.
the ultra humble setup. Yeah,
I
don't know.
I hate myself so much, so I can't.
Dang, man.
It's gonna take more than an award.
Yeah, but
that's really cool.
no, it is tough when you peak though at swimming when you're 18. You know what I mean? And
But
then
you
I
were,
was-
do you feel like you were? Oh, is a good one. Would college you be able to beat 18-year-old you at swimming?
oh yeah, college.
Oh, so you
yeah,
didn't
man.
peak at 18.
Oh no,
level.
yeah, I got faster and stuff
Okay,
like
yeah.
that. No, I was very happy. I swam at Bloom and stuff like that. D2 was like perfect for me, where it was like enough academics, enough athletics and stuff like that. But
Did you swim with people that went on to like Olympics and shit?
no, you know who actually went to Olympic? Went to Olympic trials. Ross Buckwalter.
Okay, right,
yeah.
right.
Guy's
That-
a legend.
Dude,
what a
that
beast,
dude is,
dude.
oh, dude, he's still the fucking man. I love that dude. I was just hanging out with him on
Is
Thursday.
he still like
oh
Olympic
yeah,
lifting?
I coach with him right now.
Is he jacked?
Oh, he's huge, man.
Is
Yeah.
there a Russ Buckwalter award?
Buck Ross Walter? No,
You know-
no,
No, there
there
isn't.
actually.
You know what I missed?
I don't
dude?
know. Everyone I know knows him. I don't know him, so
Yeah, he's swole.
I haven't had anyone ask me in like 15 years if I've been on steroids. I got that in grade school. Ross was jacked, and like I remember when everyone was hitting puberty, like I kind of was lifting. This was before you came around. Guys would be like, "Yo, Justin, you on steroids?"
I remember you were bigger, man. I
Yeah,
remember that.
but like I'm talking like 15, 16.
like
Like
I
I was
remember
just,
seeing on Facebook being like, "Damn, yeah, you were like ripped,
dude,
right?"
it's like no one has, and I want that. I want someone to come up to me like, "Yo, you taking steroids?"
yeah,
and then I
yeah.
can be like, "Nah, man, but thank you."
yeah.
Yo, bro, you natty?
Yeah, you
Are
natty
you
it
gonna
up.
fuck with testosterone?
I
Oh, that's a good
Probably
question.
not.
Yeah.
So maybe TRT when I get old. I mean, I actually genuinely believe that there's going to be a mortality escape velocity in the next
Right.
15, 20 years. Like genuinely.
But accessible to most people, you think? That's a question.
No, not at all. Not even remotely accessible
Yeah,
to
yeah.
most. No, but like I do think that between gene editing,
CRISPR.
just,
CRISPR,
dude,
all that,
and not
yeah,
to
yeah.
mention like where AI is going to take intelligence and understanding.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the other day.
Yeah, it's getting- dude,
They're
it's-
just going to start running tests that they were never able to run before through like AI modeling and have data.
They're just going to be like,
essentially
oh,
that-
take this pill and we're just going to, the nanobots
right.
are going to fix your DNA. And I'm like, wait, what?
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
See, I'm afraid to get like LASIK, and you're like, put it in nanobots in my dick hole and crawl up to my brain and
Make
take
me
over.
immortal. Yeah.
I want to see the stocks in my field of vision at all time.
just chip my brain already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
S&P my brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a question around that though. So like, let's just say we get there, right? So
Yeah.
we hit escape velocity, and like I'm just saying, like even further in the future, to the point where it's like, all right, it's accessible. It's just like a thing. It's not special anymore. Like we can do it. I saw something that was like a math model, like somebody was statistically trying to figure out where they were like, okay, say that the things that normally kill you from like deteriorating, whether it's cancer or whatever, heart disease, like pick it, right? If you could wipe all of those out, basically what is the optimal age that a human could technically live to based on the data that they had now? And they said they think the average could be 400. And they said, because then accidents happen. And they're like, so when you expand out that far, it's like you get hit by a bus, or like you like trip and fall through a grate, or like, like something.
Yeah.
But the thing
Wow.
that's
You're like
scary,
smashing grapes and like,
yeah, right. Yeah.
Classic.
I think the thing that frightens me though is like if there was actual like immortality, basically, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
The grapes got him.
I did.
Like if there was actual immortality, I would almost hope that there was like a kill switch that you could like then eventually choose to hit and be like, okay, I'm done. Like because
Dude,
like
yeah,
what if you get
like-
trapped somewhere?
So,
like,
I mean,
that's my
presumably you
biggest,
could
like-
always block your own airway, right? I mean,
I would think,
I don't know.
right?
But yeah, but then also it's like you're gonna be able. That's your physical form, right? You'll be able to download your brain into a.
Yeah.
Dude,
I want my brain on 800 floppy disks.
Oh my god!
I want like if you want to talk to me, you got to put them in one at a time.
Insert
like
disc
fucking
2 for
lemons.
insert.
Yeah.
No, even better, like those old Nintendo cartridges you gotta blow out.
Yeah.
You slowly put it almost the whole way
Yeah.
and then force it down into the.
You upload me and then kill me with the duck hunt gun.
I think
You're the
Duck
dog.
Hunt. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
the dog. I show up, I'm like banging on the TV, like, please kill me.
Stop inserting the cartridges.
Well, I talked to someone a few years ago who was like kind of involved in science, and she basically said the same thing of like you have no idea how far advanced we are in terms of like the potential for these things for
Oh,
age.
it's insane, man. Like, yeah, and I talk about advanced concept around people, and it's just the way it shoots over them. And I'm like, oh, dude, like when this, like, I use ChatGPT a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I would literally have it write sales scripts for me to sell MRI machines.
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And it was like incredible. The answers would come. I'm like, oh, this is better than our marketing department. I'll use that.
Right.
You know,
The marketing
and-
department doesn't like that, for reference.
I mean, dude,
Sure, yeah.
Well,
it's-
yeah, we're so close to now, like your job being gone, right? Because they can write the script, but it's also good enough now where they can do the voice and sell it, right? Like it's very close to that.
I think sales is going to need people for a really long time. Sales is mostly about relationships. You
Now,
know what I mean? Like
But that's because it's people, right? I mean, if it was
It's always
computers, they
dude,
would need a relationship, right?
people don't want to deal with
People.
AI.
But AI
representative.
might want to deal with AI. That's what I'm saying. you know?
Yeah,
Representative.
and AI will deal with AI. There'll be like tokens that they're sending back and there'll be cryptocurrencies that are AI peer to peer, but AI to AI that are probably
That we don't know as humans.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. They'll probably find some reward system to intercommunicate with themselves, and they'll work it out probably with themselves. We'll be outside the loop.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at binary like we don't. It's like when you look at the Matrix and they're looking at that screen with all the ones and zeros, but instead of them understanding it, right? That's just how AI is going to be like talking to each other, but like in enormous speeds to the point where it's like, and that actually that's
point.
already what's happening. So when they train these AI models, they put together these neural nets, and it literally looks like a web of like points and things like that. And it got to a point that they don't even know what they're doing. These
Really?
yeah,
Like, we can't even understand how fast. Was there some thing with Google where some whistleblower was like, we've kind of lost control of understanding what's happening between these systems?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That
Yeah.
one
Well,
I
like-
thought that was saying his AI gained sentience, basically.
Wow.
I think that was the same.
Yeah, it's
Google
gonna be Her,
whistleblower.
dude. You ever seen the movie Her, where the guy's
Yeah.
dating his opera? I've been telling everyone it's
Great movie, by the
relationship,
way.
and the men are gonna be the first to go. It's gonna be so pathetic, dude, and I feel bad for them already. I'm like, people are gonna be dating their operating systems.
Yep.
I'm like, it's gonna be, dude, get outside, get some nature, get some exercise. I'm telling you, like, they're gonna be
Yep.
so internalized, and it's really gonna be an epidemic. Men, and then women will.
They're gonna fall prey to it as well.
It's going to be really bad,
Well,
man. And I wish them the best. And
I
you know.
mean, there's a bunch of psychologists out there now that are doing that, and exactly what you said. Like, I was actually listening to a comedy podcast, and they brought on a guy that is a pretty well known psychologist, and he was saying, like, he was talking to them because he wasn't fully up to spec on VR and some of the adult things that are on VR.
Yeah.
And again, a comedy podcast, so they were cracking up about it and saying like, oh yeah, like they're like, it's crazy, like, and they were
I'm
going
sure.
through all this stuff, and he was like, that's actually very frightening. And he was like, that it's that real. And he was
Yeah.
like, because from like literally like a primal state, like male mind type deal, where he was like, if
not-
they can fake that connection enough to
Oh,
a point
dude.
where it's like, I don't need a human anymore, like
it's going to get so bad. And
throwback to T-Pain, like, don't
I
need
mean,
your
yo.
sex, I'll masturbate. Like, literally, like, if it gets to that point, it's like, that's going to have some crazy consequences.
If you come home and your wife's banging a robot and you're ready to kick this guy's ass, you're going to be like, then what?
I'm
Like-
going to pull out my
and she's
robot.
like, oh, Gerald, it's a robot. Oh, wait, get back up. Whoa. You're like, do you even whoop the robot's ass at that point?
Decepticon.
no, we're going to cuck each other in front of our respective robots. Like,
my
that's what's
God.
going to happen.
No,
But, like,
but that's, I mean, I'm actually like,
Yeah.
I'm like super, super anti-pornography myself. I don't like to consume it.
Okay.
I feel like,
Good on you, man.
thank you,
That's
dude.
good.
No, seriously,
That's
man.
good.
That's good.
No, dude, like,
I've started doing that too, way more.
Yeah,
Like, cutting it.
man.
I mean, I already do anyway. I cut it down a lot as I'm married, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
She
a big
won't give
difference.
you the Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, there's a big difference. I'm tired of asking her for the password. Yeah, there's a big difference even between a little bit and zero. I found.
Yeah.
A very
Yeah.
positive, like zero, so much better. I
Dude,
think, for your brain.
I've been zero for a very, very long time now. Like, I don't, and with where AI is going to take it, man, you're going to have like,
Oh yeah.
it's people are going to be able to physically and mentally be there as if it's reality.
It's the Matrix.
And I want them to choose reality over this, because what's going to happen is it's like drugs for your brain. They've already shown
That dopamine hit, man.
Dude,
it's hardcore, man.
And I'm really
scrolling,
worried about
like-
the youth, especially like the
Yeah.
the men that
Oh,
are coming
for
up.
sure,
And I just
yeah.
want to be
Oh my
like,
God.
guys, like,
It's already all
go
over
out
the
there
place.
and talk to a girl, dude. Like they,
What- Even without that, like, so like taking it away from like that dating connection, if you will, or the
Sexual components
the,
of it,
the
or-
sexual
yeah.
components of it. Like it, I mean, you're absolutely right to be frightened by it, because like there's already a whole bunch of stuff where it's like the algorithm, right? You click on one thing and then the next time you go to scroll, there's 35 of that thing where it was never there before, right? So they're
Yeah.
like, there's literally kids, like teenagers, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or whatever, that they're like seeing car crashes, or
Oh,
like
my God.
like their
Yeah,
feeds
yeah,
are just
yeah.
pumping in like this
Algorithmically
negativity.
hijacked.
And
We
and-
had to go to like rotten.com to see fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
Or like live
Something
leak and stuff.
toxic.
Not that I
Yeah,
did, but
like-
like I feel like I saw a few terrible things on the internet in my day. But like,
Yeah.
the algorithm.
Two girls,
is
one
fucking
cup.
nuts.
Yeah.
But also,
Yeah,
like,
right. Two girls, one cup is like nothing now.
Right.
Oh no,
That's like
what I
welcome
mean,
to
yeah.
Instagram,
I was like,
bitch.
please
Like,
behead somebody in
That's on
front
your
of me.
front. It's on your
Jesus.
For You page every day on TikTok.
Get to the point already.
if it's not, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like
No, I mean, dude,
we were actually like really fortunate from the standpoint of like, because we grew up before it, with it, and now we're seeing like what it's evolving into. So
Yeah.
it's almost to a point
I
where
feel
it's
like we're the Indiana Jones. Like we just got underneath the slab before it slammed and we grabbed our hat. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
grab
Like-
the crystal skull.
Yeah,
already.
exactly. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf was like, no. But no, the fact that we were like, go outside and don't
Yeah.
come back till the lights, like street lights come on, then you can come home type of thing. Now it's stay inside. God forbid there might be somebody out there to get you. I was ugly as shit. Nobody's going to pick me up. Are you kidding me?
Well, the thing is, I do agree with that, but I'm always so afraid of like sounding like the boomers, where it's like we used to drink water from the hose. You know what I mean? It's
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
I think to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, would I wouldn't want to live a life like that of like virtual girlfriend or TikTok that sucks your dick. Like obviously that's like obviously that's like dismal and soul destroying and complete negation of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
But if you're 30 and you want to do that, I think you should, whatever, freedom to do it. But yeah, I agree. It's like it's got to be kept away from developing brains.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because I mean,
Yeah.
just
it was
we've
the
all-
same way
we've
we
all
weren't
been
allowed to
12-year-olds.
watch certain movies or TV shows growing up. Like
Yeah.
there's a time and a place. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I work in
experience
middle
life.
school. I mean, the kids, for us, they're not allowed to have their phones out at all. Like they're supposed to
Yeah.
be put away. I mean, kids still grab that and stuff like that. But I mean, the kids are so desensitized now.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like looking at your phones, but like just even interacting with people and individuals. It's absolutely insane.
Well, yeah, another friend of mine is a teacher. Andrew's wife, actually, Kate. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She was telling me that the kids don't want to learn because they're like, I can just search it, and I'm like, all right, well then take ChatGPT, and it literally strips away the responsibility of like literally reinforcing any neural pathways whatsoever in your own brain. You're like,
I know for us, like they've made it a point. They're like, when they were sending in papers, you have to like check. Like we have like Chat GPT that will like.
I think with AI, there needs to be a lot more focus in school on developing good personality, good morals, understanding how to navigate the country. Hey, mortgage. Here's how's a mortgage.
Oh yeah, life skills.
Compound interest.
Life skills.
Life skills, dude.
Yeah.
Life skills are so, and you know what? Hey, how to use AI, how to prompt AI, things like whatever we
it's
can
like
do
a
that.
return to arts. So it's
Yeah.
like there's still obviously there's sciences involved in the things that you're saying too. But like it's almost like, okay, well, you know what you can't Google? Playing a guitar. Like
Yeah,
you can
right.
Google it, but it doesn't allow you to do it. Like
True.
so you're gonna have to start getting tactile things back where it's like,
Well, you could download it into your brain chip, right?
yeah, well, I can listen
You
to it
download
on my
a
iPod.
PVC didgeridoo app. Well, there's like a thing going around, I think, now with kids where it's probably a meme. I don't know if it's a joke, but like the idea of like raw dogging flights where you don't look at
Yeah.
your phone or anything, you
Yes.
just stare.
You haven't seen this?
They call it raw
no,
dogging.
what is
Essentially
it?
not using screens at all,
So
like just
these people just
experiencing
sit on the
life.
flight and they just stare into the back of it
Yeah.
for the entirety of the flight.
That's amazing.
And then when they land, they post it and they're like, yo, new all-time best. They're like 11 and a half
Wow.
hours from like wherever.
Isn't that counterintuitive? like, I don't know, posting it up, like, after
at
you're
the
like,
end,
let
bring
everybody know how much I didn't use this. Like,
Well,
I
you're,
don't know.
you're still
Yeah.
addicted.
I think it's a good.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's like,
But you didn't use it for 11 hours.
I mean,
Good on you.
you can always trust teens to kind of push back against whatever the prevailing thing is. So I do think a lot of them, like, I'd be surprised if like the generation after us is as open with social media as we are. Like, I think we're in the Wild West experience of it.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of people coming up now would, having seen all the problems with it and stuff, you know, are going to hopefully turn away from that. Like, I bet there's a lot of, I don't know. I just feel like if I was 15 now, I'd be like, oh, I want to do the cool thing. And the cool thing is like not posting anything, like just being a ghost.
Totally.
But you're also, I mean, your brain is competing with, you know, the dopamine hits of these apps.
Right.
So,
oh, yeah.
you know, I don't
like,
know.
well, there's such a finality, I think, in children's minds where like they're like, my future is now, and like I have to impress this girl, I have to impress my peers, and I need to be present in this thing. But like, you know, now that we're all in our 30s, it's like if we were to redo everything, like I don't even, I don't need any social glory at all.
The way I look at it is like, I know when I'm teaching kids, like I know kids still have their phones in their pockets, and like you can tell when they get a notification because they'll be like, a little like, yeah. And I'm like, I've stopped class before. I was like, how crazy it is the fact that you feel a vibration in your pants. You feel it, and I was like, and you just got to like, your whole day is done in the sense that I feel like back in the day we were sending notes to each other. You know what I mean? That's like that note you're getting in your pocket.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that dopamine hit, that adrenaline rush.
I remember
like,
sending
but
by, you know, what do you call that?
T9.
Beep, 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 beep,
Oh, no.
beep.
Morse code.
I immediately
Morse
went to cell phone. He's over here talking Morse code. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but
Telegram
I would leave notes for people, and like, you know, you have that little like press here, and then they'd unfold the paper, and
exactly. Yeah.
but I mean, I think
A thrill of the
controlling,
kill.
like, you know, even today with me and my phone, like it's like I turned off all notifications except for text.
Do you do grayscale? Where you turn to black and white so your brain isn't happy?
Grayscale
Ooh,
is
is that-
such a hack. Like, turn
Is
the
that good?
Yeah, if you go
Makes
to
your phone way less attractive to your brain.
Sweet.
Because
I'm
it's
gonna
not
do
all
that.
colorful.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
everything.
gotta
do
that.
dude.
I do it for like a day and then I turn it back on to look at something. I want to get.
I thought this podcast would be great in grayscale, right?
I want to get a dumb phone again because
A flip phone? Like-
yeah, just something to, you know.
Yeah, kids are starting to get that. Like in
Yeah.
our school,
Flip
like,
phone?
Yeah, like parents are getting those for their kids now.
That's
Good
amazing.
parents. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it's so much easier said than,
parents that love their children.
Exactly.
it's so much easier said than done. And I know people, if they have kids and they're watching this, they're like, yeah, good luck with that. But like my wife and I are talking about having kids in a couple of years, and we're like they're gonna have one toy. It's gonna be a block. Like they're not gonna have a phone. They're not gonna have a screen.
It's gonna
They're
be a
gonna
Jack in the
they're gonna
Box.
have one little wooden block.
No jack.
We're gonna lock them outside to climb trees and shit. I know that's not gonna happen, but like the impulse of like protecting your kids from this stuff.
Sure.
I guess versus you do want to prepare them for the fact that like that is the world, you know.
Yeah.
But it's weird to be on the other side of that and having to consider it from like a potential parent thing. Like
Yeah.
it's very
Tom, I feel so much better knowing that you're like a teacher for the youth, man. Like, I hope it's just like a lot of Tom Hayes, man.
Nah, it's not allowed out there.
Okay.
No, I do enjoy teaching. I really enjoy just work with kids and stuff like that. I mean, I think for me personally is like, I think coaching is the thing that I get the most out of. You know what I mean?
Do you have like any Justin Andersons that you're
yeah.
dealing with?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
Is it
Oh,
more
yeah.
common now? So like,
Oh yeah, you were
is it, dude? Like, here's just a quick
bad.
little thing on me. When
Kids are bad.
Really?
Yeah,
So
they
when
suck.
I was younger, and you guys like could attest to this, like I always felt like I was the center of any debacle. I was like,
Yeah.
And I remember there was a point, for me, it was probably like fifth grade. You know, I was in the school district for a couple years where I saw a debacle outside myself. I was like, I'm like, oh, that's what it's like. To not, dude, I really remember that. I was like, wow, like I've always been in the center of something where when I was finally on the outside, it was so entertaining. And I'm like, man, is that what I'm doing for people?
You're like, wow, I'm doing so much for these people. I got to keep going. That's how you give back.
you know,
the world needs people like you. Not that many, but some.
Well, again, you're a little bit more rambunctious than me. I was flying under the radar and stuff. Yet we still were such good friends. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Which I
yeah.
enjoyed about that. Whereas I know this guy might be a little, he's just gonna pull that fire alarm. But it's like I will still
Never
walk
done
with
that.
him. Yeah, I'll still walk with him through the
Allegedly.
hallway. You know what I mean? Ain't no problem.
But it never felt like anything menacing. It seemed like my impression looking back was like, if anything, you were more at war with yourself than other people. Like I never
Yeah.
felt you were mean or anything.
No, it was
It
always
was- it was
friendly.
more
It was
like-
silly stuff, man. It was always silly stuff.
It was like, oh, this is a kid who like can't help but put his hand in the flame. Like he just like, and I've always liked people like that. Like I like people that can't help but be themselves, whatever it is. Especially if you sense that they're trying to fight back against it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think one reason I vibe with you, because I thought you were funny and we were friends or whatever, but also like, because I recognize that in me too, of like, I was like, man, Justin's going to have to do it because I know him.
Man.
He can't let it go. And like from the outside, that was incredibly entertaining, you know?
Well, like if a teacher ever set up like a joke, you know what I mean, at their dispense or whatever, like it's like they put the ball on the tee and I'm like standing there with a bat. And I'm like, this would be hilarious, but I know if I say it, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to get that like ability to restrain myself until around like 10th grade.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because actually I got no more suspensions from 11th grade on.
I remember that, man.
Dude, I remember, bro. Yeah. Like I like changed my whole life around. I mean,
I remember
as far
that.
as like being that class clown and things like that, man.
Yeah.
By the time
But like, I wanted to call out like one thing earlier. You're like, that's just guys. And like, as much as I like to like be like that, I don't think it is. Like, because there's certain people that like I talked with that I don't talk with anymore. And I think if we met up now, like even me being a talkative person, it would be awkward. Like this is like a pretty cool group in general. And like even some of our other friends that like aren't here, like it's weird that like we found each other. Like I don't mean to get like too like,
no, I was thinking the same thing earlier. Yeah,
that's amazing.
but like it worked. And like I think even from the standpoint like you said, like, you know, you were our troublemaker, you know, if you would.
class
like,
clown. Let's go with that because I was friendly. At least.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying.
Right,
Like, I say trouble from like the you old whippersnapper, like you know, like that whole like. I said it from the standpoint of like I agree, like all of the stuff that we did, like any of the things that we did, where like looking back now, where you're like, oh, man, like that wasn't necessarily cool. None of us did it with malice. Like we did it because we're like, I'm probably gonna make somebody laugh, and like that was like that was enough to like trigger to be like, all right, like I'm gonna go do this thing, and then like later you look back and you're like, well, it did.
So
like usually it did make somebody laugh. Yeah, but
laugh,
then like you said, you grow up, and like that's your point. Like you grew up like at a point where you're like, all right, enough's enough. Like, you know, I can still be funny without being like whatever that level was, you know, the full class clown, because like people still gravitated towards you. Like you had an infectious personality in terms of people.
100%.
Like,
I don't know if you had an award named after you. But.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't that.
I'm not
Never
Tom
gonna
Hanks.
live this down. Jesus Christ.
No, but like,
I wanted
but to that point, like, it was funny.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Tom, I wanted to touch on one of your points. You know, it's just crazy as kind of us being here. One of the things with the podcast is being called wave function is the idea that like you've heard of the double slit experiment, right? Or like
I'm not familiar with that.
basically it's the idea that like nothing exists without measurement, provably through the 2023 Nobel Physics Prize of disproving local realism. Basically, it's like like they basically proved that you know that chair in the room next to us isn't actually real until you walk around the corner and look at it. Like literally, you know. Now you could make the argument that like, you know, if we try to look at an electron, right? The visible light might make it jump shells from the K to the L shell or something like that, right? And so like you're changing where it was, you know, there's like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle.
I was trying to think
but
of
like,
it, but
for me, I had this dude, I had this big awakening in the last 2 years where I'm like, oh, base reality is consciousness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think of base reality anymore as physical matter. I'm like, okay, like we're all kind of like, one, basically it's like God's living a dream in itself, and like you have your own ability to like navigate your own life and collapse infinite possibility, the wave function, to the finite. So it's like if I take a flashlight pointed at your eyes, right, basically that photon could wrap around the universe, but as probability, as its wave function. But the moment it hits your eye, all probabilities collapse to the finite and it becomes a photon. So it's not actually a physical photon until the receptor of your eye. So the idea is like, we're basically choosing, I think, through our thoughts and our actions and free will, our own realities, right? And I think, dude, I've had so much crazy stuff in the last year happen to me. Like, you know, like before getting on the elevator, I just think of this woman, boom, I get to the top floor, there she is. I'm like, you know, with her dog and everything. I'm like, what? You know, I was in...
Was it like a neighbor or was it like a celebrity?
Yeah, it was a neighbor.
Carmen Electra?
Here, you know, I think
Heard of her?
gratitude above all else is so insanely powerful. So I was in Costa Rica, Mountain Vision Festival. It's a great place, great time, the best. There's an art gallery, hundreds of pieces, And I go up to this one piece and I'm just vibing so hard with it. I get my phone out, I Snapchat it to my friends, right? I walk out of that collection of pieces. There's some live painters, right? Only one of them with their name down there. It's this guy. And I'm like, wait, what? I go up to him. I was like, dude, I was just admiring your piece. And it's killing me. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I do, like, out of all the pieces in the entire exhibit, he was the only live painter there. I'm talking about like maybe like 600 pieces. And then there's 4 live painters, and he's the only one with his name. And I went up to him and I was like, dude, I pulled out my phone. I was like, I was just Snapchatting your piece. And I thought about it. I'm like, I loved his art so much.
You like summoned him?
Manifested him.
Or literally vice versa. Or literally vice versa. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, I'm here, and he, you know what I mean? But like, there's just, and I feel like I've noticed that when I get into these flow states, I don't know what brainwaves I'm putting off, but like, I really feel like I can make things just happen. And it's gotten like kind of weird. And it's made me realize, I'm like, all right, base reality is consciousness. Like, we're all choosing to live, like, just all of us here is through free will, and like, you know, collapsing the infinite. Like, we didn't have to, you know, now whether or not we're existing simultaneously in infinite universes, I've been struggling with that one. You know, I'd like to put a finite amount on it. You know what I mean? Like, they say, like, with string theory, there's 11 realms, and then you go to M theory, there's 12, and then there's like, I've heard even like 17 dimensions, and like, you know, just through mathematics, they're like, in these supersymmetries, they're like finding deeper dimensions, right? Where maybe we exist, I don't know, simultaneously not, but like
subsets. So like, there's levels of infinity where there are larger infinities, like depending on what group you're looking at. So your finite infinity could be one. Like, you can go crazy, literally, like really diving deep into this, but.
There's also simulation theory, right? Like,
basically,
I'm sure you know this, but I'll just summarize what I think of it. It was just like, any sufficiently advanced civilization at some point will be able to simulate like digitally universes. So, you know, what are the chances that we're the first ones to do it versus part of someone else's? So that I've never heard. I mean, that seems pretty cool to me. You know, so pretty consistent with what I would hope is true. And I don't know, in a weird way, I kind of don't care that much. I don't feel that strongly about what it is.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you can totally let go of it, because I think you can get overconsumed at the same time. So it's like, you know, Andrew, he was like a total yogi master. He was telling me that there's like, I don't know if the term is sadhu, but there's basically like these guys that go into the Himalayan caves, right? And they just get so zen. They're like able to do these superhuman things. And if you go to them and you start teaching them like really advanced, like spiritual things, they'll just be like, I don't want to hear it. They just know like I exist and things like that. And they can, so you don't need to go deep into like this
true peace with where you're at. Yeah.
I remember I'd say like a altering effect on how I view the world was when I was at school. I took a class, the worst class ever, historiography, the history of history.
Nice.
Just let that sit with you for a second.
Yeah. History squared
of history. Yeah. And the best was we, went through the class, awful. Then the class right before our final, the last thing our professor said was, all right, everybody good? Remember, guys, history is not real. This is all made up. This is all facts that were made by humans that are fallible. And you know what I mean? And then after that, it's like, good luck on your final. And you're like,
that guy's amazing.
Shit. No, it really was like, it helped a little bit, but also was very, I don't want to say demoralizing, but it just kind of really was like, okay, I'm going to think on this one. I got to go to swim practice, but I'm going to think on this one.
I think that's cool. I mean, that's pretty consistent. I think for me, I've had those experiences, and I think you kind of go through this period of like feeling disconnected about it, or like, well, what does this mean for me, or what is this understanding? Like, am I supposed to respond to that in my behavior or something? But I think actually what you said of like, okay, well, I have to go to swim practice. I feel like I've come back to that place of like, okay, well, I have to do this work, and I try to do everything the way I want to do everything. That kind of basic stuff that. In a way, I'm sort of surprised that I'm like this now, but I seem to have reached a place where I know what you mean. I feel somewhat similar too, that when I'm in a flow state, I just look at how much my life has changed. Like, I quit drinking, all this stuff, and where I'm at now, and various experiences I've had, and I subscribe to a lot of that stuff. The danger there is, someone who's starving, right, or something. It's like maybe not the time to tell them that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I think a lot of times the message can be,
time and place.
It's not useful to everyone right now, but I don't know. I found that to be true.
Yeah. When you bring up simulation theory, my problem with simulation theory is like, I've just learned to like love God so much, and I feel like we just have this amazing experience. And I feel like simulation theory, at least ostensibly to me, really distanced from that. It's like the idea, like if I can make a reality in my computer, like how far is that from like moving a tier up? Where I met some people who got really good at astral projection.
Dude, I want to do that.
And, basically that kind of changed my life. Like I'm not going interdimensional, but I've been told to stay out of that realm legit by a lot of people.
Have you been trying to astral project? You like roll out of your body?
I personally never done it, but the guy that basically this guy got really good at it, and we became really good buddies. An Alaskan salmon fisher. This guy's amazing. He'll probably yo, what up, Aaron? Anyways, he basically was like, listen, I've spoken to the dimension up. Right, the fifth dimension, and they're basically it's kind of it. He said it was almost identical to that CIA document that came out. Yeah. That was like they basically said in the fifth dimension, they're like, hey, like not that our dimension's fake. It's just like we come down here to live like we live in 3D. Like they don't live in this. You know what I mean? Like they're pure consciousness and things like that, and like outside of time. And like we come down here to learn, and then we can either hopefully ascend. Like, dude, Personally, I don't want to do this all again. I'd like to move up. I really do. I don't want to forget anymore. I find that I think a lot of religions have truth. There's so much truth in all these religions, right? And I do think reincarnation is possible. I think there's, you know what I mean? And at the same time, it's like, could Jesus have been God? Sure. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of different things could have, I don't know, man. I'm so insanely comfortable with not knowing and telling you I don't know. Yeah. And any good argument can change my mind about anything. But I'll say this, like, I really hope to ascend, and like, I at least want to give back to the, and I want to do at least above 50% good. I mean, I don't know what the ratio is, 80-20 or whatever. I mean,
check the scoreboard.
For the 500, I was telling Max, for the 500 times I've been at Chipotle since I've seen him, I've only got an argument with the staff like twice. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. Hey, just give me the queso.
Right?
I think that's Chipotle.
Yeah, they're like, it was 3 times.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I gotta let you go, man. I'm filming the podcast. I didn't mute my phone. Later. I'm gonna have to cut that out.
You so busy.
No, leave it in. That's awesome. No.
Should I?
Boom in the shot.
I don't know.
Actually,
I was saying that you said the
I don't mean to get like super serious on you guys, but yeah.
The older I get, or the more like to me like a 50.01% positive is a win. Like I've lowered my. I think what held me up quite a bit was like perfectionism and stuff, and I feel like part of getting older is kind of beating that out of yourself by continually trying to do whatever it is. Like for me, I try to do a lot of creative stuff and like writing and excuse me, and being on stage and stuff, and doing stand up. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I've gotten, the more I've done that, the less I'm interested in doing things like write, and the more I realize it's just kind of about the journey. And if I write something and the first draft is more good than bad, I try to give myself permission to be like, okay, that's a win for today. Now, does that mean I need to, there's like practical stuff. It's like, well, do you want to try to publish it or blah, blah? That's a separate thing. But in terms of like feeling about yourself, I think I never, I had to learn that the hard way. It was never quite made clear to me. And I think I was very perfection-y. And rather than try, I would procrastinate because of that.
Oh, yeah.
And when people ask me for advice, like, I try to write headlines for like Reductress and Hard Times and Onion stuff. Like I do some of that and it's great. And I enjoy doing it, but like, it's very hard for me to, there are people that I know in comedy that'll ask me like advice on that stuff. And I so understand where they're coming from, but I know that like all the stuff I'm saying is just not, it's not going to affect you unless you're ready for it, unless you're open to it. Like, cause basically I'm just like, you have to genuinely be okay with doing bad work.
Yeah.
And not like in a fun, like cutesy way, like, oh, it's cute bad. I'm talking like, makes you cringe, is embarrassing, doesn't make sense, like whatever your work is.
This whole podcast.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like
with you clowns.
Unless you can face that and genuinely like forgive yourself and see it as part of a bigger process.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just think.
Dude, let me just say, I commend in today's age creation over anything, man. Like one of the big things with this podcast was I told myself this year, I'm like, I'm going to stop consuming so much, and I'm gonna start producing.
Let's go.
That's awesome, man.
You know, and I think that's going to be the challenge of the next era to come, right? It's just there's more content than ever, and I think with positions getting taken over with AI and things like that, just exercising yourself, producing content. You know, I wrote a book. I'm not going to talk about that on here, but yeah,
there you go.
just producing things, and I think exercising that muscle is just like, I personally think God, for real, loves effort above most other things. You know, there's nothing worse, man, than wasting talent. Like, I really, like, I try to take care of myself, like, on like every level, and just effort is, I think, appreciated by God, dude. Like, I take it to the extreme lately. I've been covering from shoulder surgery. So you guys haven't seen me, like, dude, I got up to like 205 pounds. I was not like Ross quite as much, like not that jacked, but dude, I was repping 275 on flat for like 3 sets of 10. I was crushing it, man.
You mean like it's like a flat bench?
Flat bench for like 2 plates and a 25 on each side. I was in best shape of my life, man. And then I tore my shoulder wiping out of my one wheel, my labrum.
Oh yeah.
So I had the surgery, and man, that was just such a comeback. But dude, like, when I was lifting, like when I finally could lift again, I would literally just in my head be like, yo, God, you seeing this? Like the effort,
right.
Like, look at the effort I'm putting in right now. You know what I mean? And just like, you know, that's the kind of thing where I think it's recognized. You know what I mean? And I'm like pushing myself, and I'm just like, yo, you see, I'm putting in the effort right now. Like, you're going to heal my shoulder with me. Like, and just like, assuming it's happened before it happens, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just be like, yo, like before it was even healed, I'm just like, yo, thanks God for healing my shoulder. You know what I mean? And just like aligning that level of frequency with my own, like early, because I personally think brains are supercomputers. Mm-hmm. I've always thought that we are quantum. Sorry. So like well, they make them, so why wouldn't they be?
True.
Well, Nikola Tesla, like, this guy's the greatest inventor of all time. On my shirt, shout out Tesla.
This was planned.
This guy basically, he was making inventions in his head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm tapping into the ether. They used to call it like it was like another element. They got rid of ether.
They were in,
but
the
it was
zone.
just this
I
known
think
thing.
ether's
Like,
coming back, baby.
dude, ether's got to come back. It's like if when an idea
flow state, it's like the result.
Ethereum,
like great songwriters.
Ethereum, like, isn't that Ethereum?
Who's taken? Who's taken? No.
A lot of great artists and songwriters and stuff will be like, well, the really good ones don't even feel like they come from me. I just channel them. Like, you hear that a lot from people.
Man.
Yeah.
And I think that getting into like a flow state really kind of helps you tap into ideas. Like, you know, I didn't even show you guys. Like, I've made some pretty cool electronic music since I saw you. And whenever I was making music, I was always just like, it felt like it was always there, and I was just looking for it. It was like, I didn't have the talent to just like write music like fluidly. Like, I wish I would have taken piano lessons. I think that would be a great foundation for any electronic artist today. But I was always just like playing with sounds, and then I'd go through the melody like it was already there. You know, it's like the famous Michelangelo, whoever, like they're like,
get away everything that's not the sculpture.
Yeah. Incredible. So,
well, the thing is, I think whatever that is, that willingness to do something that you don't know how to do, to me, like, that's, I would value that even more than talent for a lot of stuff. Like, because I think you really can, talent's fantastic, I guess, but if you don't work it, it doesn't matter. And I think unless you're trying to be like the number one in the world at something, which is kind of meaningless with creativity, but like, I think you can get to making satisfying work with no talent if you just have that ability to just continually throw yourself off the cliff. I mean, it is a little bit of a numbers game. Like, if the least talented person in the world wrote 100 melodies, like, one of them would be okay. You know, like, it's, I don't know. It's, I feel like I have developed so many different frameworks to I swap out. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh God, sometimes it's this, sometimes that. Like, for me, I'm very into like whatever kind of gets me through the current block I'm in. I will adopt that kind of mental frame, and I think that's a useful skill. But it does sometimes
like day
feel
at
like
a time type thing, or
just like
1 minute after. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Family is everything.
Having as many things in the toolbox as possible. You know, that's all I'm saying. It's like whether some days you're like, I'm going to feel spiritual. This will help me get through this thing.
Oh, dude.
Some days I'm going to be like, I think I'm a little autistic. It runs my family, and I'm like kind of coming to terms with that. So sometimes I'm like, you know what? It's just a numbers game. I'll just go full like right brain with it, and I'll just write 100 things and take the 2 best things and go from there. Like, a lot of times when you talk to people and you're trying to give them advice on how to be productive or make stuff, like they're very hung up on like, well, what's the one thing? Yeah. And I'm big on like the thing is whatever fucking works. Like, I'm a big utilitarian with that stuff. Like whatever in the toolbox works, use that, and then just try it, see if it works again. And if not, get a different tool, you know?
I love hearing this from both of your perspectives, honestly, because I've kind of subscribed to a lot of what you're saying, and to kind of like boil it down, it comes down to whether it's creating something for like good. Like, I think it's less about like, you know, when you talk about like the ascending or going to heaven or, you know, whatever it is, I really truly believe when you look at core tenets of a lot of religions in general, usually what's there is just basically like, be a good person and be a good person for others. Like, you know, it's
without expecting anything in return. That is so above and beyond all of it, man.
But you know what's funny though is the don't expect anything in return deals with material. What you end up getting in return for being a good person is not material, but it's so much more valuable than something that somebody could give you.
Oh yeah, dude.
And like, I've been very much involved in like, I like kind of gravitated. I'm a people person. Like, you know, I like to be around people. I like the different perspectives. I like to lend my 2 cents and then hear how somebody reacts to that. Like, you know, and not from like I'm going to say something insane and see how you feel. But like, I want to be like, well, here's my perspective. Like, how does that register with you? Like, I'm very interested in like how that hits people. So like in my career, I immediately just kind of, without even knowing that I was doing it, like gravitated towards like a leadership type role, because I liked being around people and I liked hearing what their problems were, even though it was like work problems, you know, like we weren't saving lives, we weren't doing anything crazy, but it was like, what's plaguing you? And like, how can I help?
You're a problem
like,
solver.
You know,
I
like,
can see you, man. How can I micromanage you?
No.
Can I do that for you? Actually, I don't trust you to do that yourself.
You know, that's funny because it did start that way because I didn't know any other way to do it.
Wow.
So like, I was like, let me try to step in and help you by physically being there with you and like working it. And then I realized this isn't helping. You know, this is the teach a man to fish, right? Like, I'm fishing for you. Like, you're never figuring it out. So one of the craziest things was I actually had a boss who came up to me one day and like pulled me aside, and he was like, how are things going? You know, like how is, you know, doing one-on-ones, like how is teaching people, like, you know, and I'm like, it's all right. And he was like, all right. And he's like, we haven't really been hitting goals. And he was like, why do you think that is? You know, and obviously I knew these things were loaded questions. Like, he's walking me down, like, I'm data driven. Like, I looked at it, I knew what was going on. Right. And I was like, I don't know, like I'm doing everything that I can. Like, I'm putting myself out there. Like, I'm going in hyperdrive. And this was a sales focused role. Yeah. And he was like, right, you are, but that's not helping them. He's like, you have a team for a reason. He's like, you're not supposed to hit the targets by yourself. You're supposed to hit the targets as a team.
Well, I mean, you could.
Yeah, I did a couple days, pat myself on the back, but like,
pew, pew.
But the point was like that, you know, you have that light bulb moment, and I was like, oh, like I'm not really actually helping anybody by doing this.
Man.
And then when I had that shift, the reward I got out of getting people to do things that they didn't think they could do or weren't interested in doing or weren't seeing a value in was not monetary, was not you know, anything physical, but it is so much better than anything that I've ever got beyond that. So then like I carried that through, and I mean, even where I'm at now currently, like that's still the same thing. And through doing that, it's taken me to a place that I never would have thought or been able to get by myself, because I basically just put myself out there in the truest way possible for people to try to offer. And even if what I had to offer was just not getting in their way, because I'm like, yo, you're on it. Like, you know, you obviously have this, you have this locked down, and really all I have to offer you is tell you, like, keep doing it. Like what you're doing will work. At least from my perspective, this is my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. You know, I don't have anything further than that, other than I'm just going to be standing on the sideline rooting for you. And I think like the biggest thing is with a lot of us, like in our group, like we're so excited for each other to like do well. Like I have nothing in this. Like if this, not even if, when this takes off and you know, like you're on tour, like I'm going to be so stoked about that.
Thanks, man.
Like,
Appreciate
you know,
that.
and it's going to be nothing positive. Like hearing that, like I wish I would have known about, you know, what you shared. Like that's so cool, dude. Like legitimately, I don't have other words other than that's really cool. But like, you know, it gets to that level, and just even hearing about personal type things that go down, like that's wild. But like, that's also rare from the standpoint of like, people don't put that out there, that it's happening. And I think the more we put that out there, the better things will be as a whole.
I mean, I think we're very, very just unique in the sense of the friends that we have and how our connection is. Like, truly, we're blessed, man. Like,
absolutely.
Like, I mean, again, as we're saying, we're here 20 years later, but how many other people could walk in this room right now?
Oh, yeah.
Be like just another day at
from
like,
from our group.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
God,
what I mean.
man.
Could you imagine?
So like, just to set
I'm
the
gonna text
stage, like
them right now.
we all were at same lunch table, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys remember like what was it, you would put the thumb on the side of the table and
And whoever didn't do it had to take the trash, right?
Yeah. So if you took the trash out the next day, you could place your thumb on the edge of the table
To like
and
start it.
And the last person to put their thumb on the table had to take all the trays up that day.
Yeah.
I remember that, man.
Yeah,
That was
man.
shit. That's a deep cut right there.
Dude, I also remember that's when baked Lay's came out. And
But they made you shit yourself.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah, they did,
When they
because
first came out.
it was the artificial sugar.
That's not where I was going.
Sorry, I just
It's not any less true.
when they first came out, everyone was like, "There's something in it," and they
Yeah.
got rid of it. But
Was
I'm sorry,
it
wait,
aspartame or
really?
something
Wait,
like that?
baked Lay's?
there was something.
Yeah,
that was
because
just
they
a
dropped
thing.
the sugar and they put a sugar substitute.
there's
in there,
something
and that
in
sugar
it,
chips
substitute
and
was
stuff like
murdering
that.
people.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I mean,
I was taking it somewhere completely
it's time for a
different.
poop break.
No. So, no, you could throw them like playing cards, and then when they would blow up, so like I would throw these baked Lays. Do you guys?
I know what you're talking
so like,
about.
I'd
Yeah,
be like, yo, I'm gonna hit this person like a playing card, and then when they would hit them, it would blow up because they were so
perfect
brittle.
crowd.
They were.
What is it with you and potato products and launching them? Because you did that at a talent show one time too. No, like somebody threw you a potato or something. Do you remember that? Am I misremembering it? And I think
We're not telling that story, dude.
Yeah,
what? I don't remember that one being
oh
bad.
my god! Because I think it was a cheeseburger.
Oh, it was. Oh, wait, and now I remember why we're not telling it.
I want to hear. Okay.
Well, we'll tell it offline. You have to pay $5 for it.
Yeah.
But no. But all right. So here's another one.
Wavelength
though.
After Dark.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
there
right.
you go.
Another one that was
Bow,
like kind of
bow.
crazy though, where you would just like do that. Where I remember one time you were standing in the bleachers and it was more than like a half court shot, and you were like, "Throw me that ball," and like literally you got it and just chucked it, drained it. Like not even
my
like
God.
it literally was like, and you like turned around and were like. Everyone was like, I can't believe that just happened.
I love that you remember this story, so I got to set the stage for you guys.
Yeah.
It was a senior assembly.
Yeah.
And everyone was on like one side of the bleachers, right?
we had those
this was the
pull-out
old
ones,
gymnasium.
remember?
Yeah,
All-
yeah.
All the bleachers were on one side, right? And one dude was like playing, I think it was like Tyrone.
He was just shooting around.
He was shooting the ball.
We were waiting for
Tyrone
everything to-
Jones?
No.
No, I'm dead serious.
I don't think.
that was- no, that
because
was-
he wasn't in our grade, was he?
No, that's right. He was a year ahead of us. Yeah. no,
So
he-
I was
he
like,
ahead
yo,
of
throw
us.
me up the ball, right? And we were in the back corner, so I'm parallel with the backboard. And I would, dude, when I've been telling the story, I've been saying it's like 3/4 of a court, not even half. It was.
Yeah, like I said, it was more than half court.
Dude,
like,
I wrestled for 13 years. We know wrestling and basketball the same season. I can't. You give me like 10 shots at a free throw. What are they? Right, free throw.
free.
See, that's
Because
how.
it's supposed to be a free
I just
point.
upset so many people. Anyways,
Not a
like
sports podcast.
with all my might, I one hand over like threw his
And
ball.
just
Hook it.
Sunk it.
Oh yeah,
Dude, it was a beautiful.
Just a
Oh
hook
yeah,
shot.
yeah, man.
Like-
You dude,
Really?
you missed this. It was this magical
yeah.
moment. I stood up like I was a god for like 5 seconds.
I mean,
Put
you
both
were.
Did people
my-
freak out?
Oh,
Were
yeah,
people
yeah.
like-
Oh, dude, the entire scene, like, half
Even the dude
class,
that chucked the ball, because like he kind of laughed because he's like, all right, let's do it, Brick
Yeah,
City,
yeah.
right? Like this is gonna be fun.
That's
And like
cool.
he did it, and like he turned, he was like, oh, like literally
cool.
everybody was just like,
You were
what?
dialed in, man. You were dialed
But
in.
what was crazy was there was
On
no
the
reason.
wavelength,
You
man.
were just like, yeah, let me get that ball.
Dish the rock.
But here's the
sure.
thing: for him to get
Computer
the ball
blue,
to me,
Darling
he
Pickett.
had to throw it like at a halfway point. Like it was too,
Yeah.
it was too far to just give the ball to me. He had to throw it to someone to throw it to me, And I just remember there was this like,
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not insane. I'm not going to try to throw that at like, yeah.
there was like this pause. It was just like, and I just
Everyone
threw
had
it
to
as-
register.
Oh
like,
my God.
What did
What
we
was that?
just see?
Was it like for an assembly or something?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Was
It was
it
like a
pep rally
senior-
or?
yeah, it might have been.
Okay.
It
Oh,
might
but
have
like
been.
senior like assembly kind of like.
Yeah, one of the random groups that they would pull us into to be
shit's
like,
so
get
stupid,
ready,
man.
you're graduating.
Yeah.
And we're like, maybe.
But this was like the last
To be determined.
minute before we're like everyone's waiting for the bell, so it's almost like a quiet moment.
Ooh.
And only one dude was playing basketball down there. And
I think I remember after that, people started flipping buses and lighting them on fire. It was like a huge race war broke out. It was wild. Yeah, they're like, "What's happening?" Justin, he sunk it. I don't know. Like we're just pushing cars
It's
over.
just butterfly effect. He wasn't supposed to make that shot.
Yeah, I mean, you had the energy of like, you know, I was either going to see your mug shot or I was going to vote for you for something.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm very glad that, as far as I know, you went the latter path. So
Yeah,
that's good.
You
Thank
crushed
you.
it, man. This is
I gotta
amazing.
pee.
Oh, do you guys remember Goldeneye? Playing
Goldeneye?
Goldeneye?
Oh, yeah,
Goldeneye?
yeah.
All right. I thought you said
007?
Gold
Yeah.
mine.
Gold
I was like,
mine.
I don't
There
remember
was-
that
there's-
specifically.
Remember we had that operating gold mine?
Oh, yeah, dude, down in...
You remember when I
Wow.
up and moved my whole family so we could go dig at dirt in
Go
Colorado
prospecting?
back in the 1500s?
Dude, I started watching Deadwood. Have you guys seen Deadwood?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I've just been calling everyone a cocksucker because that show. It's like every line in that show is like,
the
you're fucking
foulest
cocksucker. Yeah.
show in terms of language. Like, there's no reason to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's not actually like even context.
No, it's
Like,
just-
I
it's
don't
just the
necessarily
joy.
have like a clean
I was just
mouth,
telling
but-
Max I bought that for my parents. Like for I was
Deadwood?
like, yeah, Deadwood. My dad,
yeah.
of course, he's loving it. My mom's
you're
like,
like, oh, yeah, Old West.
little crass. And
Yeah, a
I'm
little
like,
bit, yeah.
Well, he's a cocksucker, Mom. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Did you call him a jive turkey?
yeah. I cut on
No-
the cocksucker motherfucker.
No one called anyone a JT. Hold on.
Hey, called you a cocksucker. We all heard it.
Yeah.
So on a serious note, have you guys tried Wawa Pizza yet?
No,
No.
I've heard nothing but not good things.
I'm gonna.
Is it
yeah.
real? I haven't. I don't know. Have you tried it?
No, so I hear ads for it. I'm very aware. They're pushing it very hard.
Well, they put
In-
it at the pump. Yeah.
In
that
my mind,
advertising.
oh my god, holy shit! Every time I
Hey,
fill,
Wawa customer. Yeah,
every
sorry.
time I fill my gas, it's
Oh,
the
that
Harry
was so
Styles song. The, you know, it's not the same as it was, and I'm like, yeah, it's the same as it was last time I filled up my gas tank, baby. Every time they play it, I can't stand it. And then they're like, try the Wawa pizza. And here's my plan: is I'm not going to try it because it looks bad. I'm going to wait till it fails, which it will, and then I'm going to email them and I'm going to say, "Hey, you guys should make pizza. Have you thought about that?" Just to have some marketing guy
get 'em
lose his
back.
mind.
Email
Yeah.
McDonald's. Hey, where's that McRib at? I've been looking for that one. You know what I mean?
You guys should really
Do
try
that
pizza.
you should do
Oh.
that every Thursday at a specific
No,
time.
but hold
Yeah.
on. I
Did you
on
try
air
it?
want to redeem Wawa a little bit
Okay.
for what it is,
What
which
is
is
it?
like
talking-
fast food.
I mean, I love Wawa.
Are you saying pizza in general, specifically?
for what it is, 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Really?
Now
I give
for
it.
for an East Coast pizza, it's like a 6.
Oh, that's still pretty high for
Yeah,
East
that's
Coast.
yeah. No,
All right,
that's
maybe
pretty
a
solid.
5.
But
All
still,
right.
like,
No, like you.
I mean, I
if you
haven't
show
had
up
it,
to a
so-
party with a Wawa pizza,
Yeah.
no one's gonna get like mad at you. They're gonna be like, this ain't good pizza. This
But
is
they'll
like
be
I'm
munching
starving.
on it. Yeah, yeah.
I'll eat this.
It's like Elio's.
what's it? Pizza's like sex.
No, no,
It's-
no, way better.
No matter what, it's good.
Wawa
Like,
pizza's better than Elio's?
yeah.
But like
Really?
it's in that it's in when you say
Really?
for what it
Are
is,
those
I'm putting it
fighting
in
words?
that.
I don't know. Like
Tom,
Elio's,
the
I'm
way-
just
whoa,
saying
hey.
Elio's is
I
like,
like
Elio's.
Elio's.
the square, man.
Elio's got
Dude, I'm just
talking
jealous.
about
I'm jealous. You guys
the
can eat.
First off, you could fuck
Red
me up, no
sauce.
problem. Or you can put my head through this wall, no problem. You know that. Yeah.
Dude, talk about getting old.
Check yourself.
I
I
took-
Can't,
right
yeah.
there.
I can't fucking eat Reds. Like, if I have a slice of pizza, I will have acid reflux for like the next.
okay.
If I
Lay down
if
on
I
the
can't
toilet.
have pizza,
I was like, what happened?
after like
I was
noon.
waiting for like he's like
It's fucking nuts,
If I
dude.
eat it after midnight,
I was waiting for the
like,
Kool-Aid guy
I
to
start
bust through the wall,
replicating-
like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. I just
I start destroying the town, burning things down. And I was like, oh, it's a mogwai. I never knew. Like,
I used to just be able to power through. Sorry, any health problem I had, and now I'm increasingly trying to actually change my habits a little bit. Because
Yeah.
I used to just be like, I'll eat whatever I want, and then I'll just eat 3 Tums and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's starting to not work. I'm starting to.
so
I'm
this
dying.
Is, this is gonna be a stupid question. Like, how did you figure that out? Like, did you just decide like, it seems like every time I eat this, not good. I'm just gonna try to not eat it, or like, did you?
Well, honestly, like my wife got annoyed because I would be always like walking around the apartment, like hitting my chest, going, "Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that." And she'd be like, "It doesn't even do anything. Why are you doing that?" So it's more of it's just not annoying her, and also just like trying to hit the gym more and stuff, and being like, I've gotten pretty good at the discipline of going to the gym.
Yeah.
But for me, the missing piece has always been the diet. It's not too bad, but like if I had the discipline with that I have in other areas of my life, I think I'd feel better and look more like how I want to look. So it's just interesting. Yeah. So I'm just trying to be more realistic. Like I can't fucking eat that shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like I want to, but I really can't. It sucks.
I can
but-
just like empathize with you on that though, because I had an experience like that, but like I found out that basically like I'm like severely lactose intolerant and have been my entire life.
Oh, maybe
and
that's-
just like
How
That
late?
sucks.
People find this out so late.
Yeah.
It's such a confusing
Yeah,
thing
and
to
I
me.
found it
way,
out
yeah.
through
I'm
like
what?
it's through
It's
just like a
23andMe
random
or
diet
something like that?
I did no, I did Whole30.
Oh yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
familiar, like, so you just basically remove like the most common irritants from like your diet for 30 days. And then at the end of that 30 days, you slowly introduce them back in
To see
and find
what-
out how you feel. So it's like,
Oh.
so I did it and like, I was like, okay, at the end of it, I was like, hey, I feel pretty good. Haven't had any artificial sugars, like no dairy, no wheat or grain, like removed it. And then I actually stuck to it because I was like very much like, give me a cheesesteak, like right off the bat, like let's go full blown on it. But I like did it, and one of the first things I had was literally just like, sounds so millennial, but like charcuterie, and like I literally just took like cheese and like I was like, this is what I'm gonna eat off of this, and like I just ate the cheese and I was like, oh man, that tastes great. Wouldn't
Bad.
know it that evening,
Wow.
not
Damn,
great,
man.
and I was like.
Diarrhea.
So like we don't have milk in our house anymore. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went full oat and everything, and like I've never felt better. I was like, apparently my entire life didn't have to be like miserable. I could have just like not eaten cheese.
So did you feel that growing up? Like you really felt
But
that?
I didn't know.
Okay.
Like that was just I thought
Interesting.
everyone
Just
just
par for
had
the course.
you
Like,
know,
just the price you pay.
yeah, thought everyone spent like 20, 30 minutes in the bathroom, like and that was like a
After
common
eating a
thing, like,
Polly-O's cheese sticks.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but like there's dairy in everything, and
Yeah.
like that was like a big thing too. Like drink all of your milk, like drink your whole milk, like cereal, most important one of the day. Like
Yeah,
you know,
right,
like,
right.
and then you like look at it and you're like, no, this is literally a sugar bomb filled with like.
I mean, it's kind of like criminal that we know at this point the food pyramid's like
I
completely
was
ass
literally about to
backwards,
say the
dude.
same thing,
they're-
man.
It's like 50 years ago.
Have you
they're like,
eaten
why don't we-
5 loaves
why don't
of
we
bread
just
yet?
Flip this thing upside down. Like it's so complete.
They're like, you're gonna want to start with your sweet
Yeah,
sweets,
man.
and then
Your sweet, sweet.
then your salty sweets, and
But yeah, like I just wondered if it was like something like that. But yeah, it
could be.
And now like I look back and like you said, like the amount of people that don't know. And
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, this is how I work.
Yeah.
Like everything burns. And like that's my life. And then you're like, did you know you don't have to like be
Yeah.
like that? It's like,
Yeah. Reconvene in 20 years time.
Yeah.
You talk
Yeah,
about
talking-
what foods upset
Yeah.
your stomach. And
the other day I sneezed and threw my back out.
yeah.
So
in eighth
anybody
grade, we're
else
like,
get poo-poo undies from milk or anybody else here? No.
if you had asked us in eighth grade, I'd be like, let's get together and talk about our mansions and stuff in 20 years. But
Yeah.
in reality, yeah, it's like, so what kind of fish oil?
I wonder
What are
if
you
Mars
doing?
is going to
I
be
will say
like,
this. I did tell my dad about Bitcoin like in 2008. I remember being so severely shot down about the idea that like
yeah.
it didn't resurface in my brain until 2017. And I had this moment where I was like, oh my God, I told my dad about Bitcoin in 2008.
It was legit
Like,
trauma.
it was
That's
one of
what
those
that
moments.
is, like-
Yeah, like it was total childhood trauma just resurfacing, you know. And I realized that was the cause of all my problems.
We
And
are
I'm
all
like-
now
I'm like,
dumber
oh
for
wait,
hearing it.
yeah. I'm like, that's every single thing bad that's happened to me in my entire life. I'm like, that's because,
It's Bitcoin.
it's because I told my dad in 2008, dude. It was one of those things, but it was like.
But it's crazy that it hit you like that. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
that is
like
definitely-
it,
You just
it,
had,
it was
like, a
like
moment,
you know
like,
when you smell something
driving
and
and
like
swerve
that
off the
memory comes to the surface.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
had
yeah.
with. It wasn't like I was looking into Bitcoin. It was like I heard of what I just heard the term Bitcoin. I'm like, oh, Daddy,
That
you know,
seems
Bitcoin,
pretty-
digital currency, and you know that like the way that was so, it was just brushed under the rug. Like that idea in 2008 was like, don't even. You're gonna talk to me about decentralized blockchain?
not Yeah, on no,
paper.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
It's
get
a,
it.
It's
It's not a
immutable.
banknote. Yeah.
It's immutable transactions for anyone to see. It's like no one had a clue, dude. And the SHA-256 algorithm was written by the CIA. We're not going to talk about that either, are we?
You are Satoshi.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I had some Bitcoin in like 2011, and I ended up selling it at some point for some. I don't even remember.
For,
Probably.
for a
Pizza.
slice of pizza. Yeah, that guy,
Honestly,
that poor soul.
you know what it might have
You
been?
think he's miserable too? He's blaming.
I was a vegetarian through all of college and the end of high school. Long
Wow.
story stupid. Yeah. But then I went back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
And there was this chick when I was living in Philly right after college, like 2013, 14. There was this pizza shop right around
Ripping
the corner.
the throats out of cows and
Dude,
dairy.
I got so many
with a vengeance.
I went for chicken nuggets so often at this place that when I walked in, the lady would be like, "The nugget man's here." I was just,
rough.
I was
You know
at
what,
house
though?
and
Dude,
like,
chicken nuggets, I feel like aren't even on the opposite spectrum.
Yeah, I
Like-
just-
like if there's like vegetables over here, right, and a
Yeah.
triangle, and like meats up here, like
Yeah.
ultra processed, like nothing over
Yeah.
here. You went that way.
It's in the
Yeah.
shadow
It just has a
behind the
little
food
asterisk
therapist.
on it. Yeah.
Come over the shape of dinosaurs. You're like, is this real meat?
I mean, hey,
the cool thing
Dino
about
nuggets.
being a vegetarian for a little bit is I
Yeah.
do feel like
bring them back.
because morally that is probably what the best thing to do is, but I just can't do it. But I feel like I did my part, so it's
Yeah.
easy for me to rationalize now. Where I'm like, yeah, it's the right thing to do, but like I did 5 years. Like, did
yeah.
you do 5 years? You know, like
Yeah.
I saved some animals.
did.
Well, the
Mine
plants
not.
feel
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Right? Am I wrong? The plants feel?
No,
Yeah, probably.
Well,
Yo, so this is actually
Plants
crazy.
definitely on some level feel.
Yeah, there's
along
some-
with a level of how did it take me this long to learn this, and like this kind of ties back to like the schooling. Like we should teach like these things. I heard something recently, and like I looked deep into it. So like on the plants feel piece of it. Did you guys ever hear about the things about how bees know which flowers to go to
Yes,
that
it's
have
amazing.
pollen and which ones don't? It's not like they like stop in, they're like, somebody got this one, like fly to the next one. So they said, and I'm gonna butcher this. I'm gonna throw that out there right now. I'm gonna do this no justice. But basically, with the way that bees' wings flap, it generates a
Field.
yes, a field. And whenever flowers have pollen, it generates the opposite field. So they are basically electrically drawn to each other, like almost like magnetism. So once the bee collects all the pollen off that flower, the flower does not put out that same field.
It's not
anymore.
magnetic
So
and
none
stuff
of the
like
other
that.
bees are interested. They fly right by it and they go for
Wow.
something else. So
shit.
That's very cool.
So to blow everyone's mind there, I guess on that piece, like when I heard that, I was like, "What?
Yeah,
Like
why
why?
are we
Why
doing-
was
why
that?
are we doing
Yeah,
anything
why
right
did I
now?
find this out? Doom scrolling TikTok or like where did this? What?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna go see a woman get like punched by a homeless person next. Like,
yeah, I need to go see a guy like
guys are killing me.
shooting the gap in between like cars on
God,
his like.
bees do that.
Whoa! I need to watch
bitch
guys
just got fucked
walk
up.
into DMVs and like check the Constitution or whatever they do.
Yeah,
So you're saying I can't have a gun here? You know you're being taped, right? Like
exactly.
all the like free citizen people that go. And,
I love that.
that's great.
I'm a
Did you see
double
the
agent.
video?
I got you.
Some guy just someone that was funny the other day. Just some guy like walked up to. He was far away from a cop car. And he just walked up, and the guy looks at him, and he tells the cop, he's like, "Am I being detained?" The guy's like, "No," and then he just walks. I just loved how simple it was. Like,
Right.
am I being detained?
Was he a white guy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why he walked away. Yeah.
That's why.
Dude, how many times could you get away with like walking up to a cop?
Yeah, yeah.
and be like,
Should you
Like
arrest
in the
me?
middle of like a traffic stop, and you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just walk up, sir, sir.
It's intimidating.
Like,
man.
tap
Yeah.
well,
on
it's
the
also
window.
ridiculous. Like when you see it, and you're just like immediately trying to start something.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's just like, "What? You want to fight?" And the cop's like, "I'm
Yo, you guys
I'm
are
issuing a
killing
ticket."
me.
Like, you know,
just sipping his coffee. He's
sir,
like, what the-
like get out of here. Yeah. Why?
What do you
Why?
think
I'm
the
allowed
ratio?
to be here.
So, all right, for real though, you go up to 10 cops.
I'm getting punched by all 10.
No, you go up to a cop. You say, "Am I being detained?" What's the ratio? Like,
Before one's like, actually, yeah.
I mean, it probably
Now-
depends
now
a lot
you-
on your vibe and whether
Yeah.
they think you're a threat.
Are you
know?
carrying a knife?
Like
while
I think
you're
my
doing it,
mom,
or-
my mom, like is a sweet old lady. She could probably get away with it, you know.
Yeah.
But I imagine there are other people that might be suspicious to go up to. I don't know. I generally just don't. I've never, thankfully, really had any kind of interaction with the police in that way. Like I remember when I lived in Philly, it was weird because like I got out of the train once and I was in an area that's like, you know, quote unquote bad, like crime ridden or something. I forget why I was visiting a friend. I don't know. Probably getting chicken nuggets. But the
Nugget
cop, there was
Palace.
like a police chase. There was like helicopters, all these cops around stuff. And I remember the cop asked me, like, if I had seen things. Like, it was just weird because there were all these other people around me, and he asked me, and I think for a pretty obvious reason why he talked to me instead of other people. But it's a weird little thing. I don't know.
You're like, well, I'm.
Well, I got a story for
He
you
was like,
guys.
"Have you
then.
seen this person?" I was like, "I was on a train. I have no idea."
Sir,
Like,
I'm trying to get nuggets. Like,
yeah, I'm like, bro, come on.
So-
I'm selling all my bitcoins to get these.
Yeah. Dude, I've had a bunch of weird encounters. Like I got into it with Israeli Secret Service down in Washington, D.C.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Expand.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So,
BB's coming for ya.
so I mean, we were going to the W Hotel for a business meeting.
Nice.
Really nice hotel.
Yeah, beautiful.
I put in my GPS, W Hotel, and I get there, and there's this little side street that it's telling me to go to park. There's like a bunch of parking lots right there.
Oh wait, I think I remember you telling me. This.
Yeah.
This is a wild story.
So there's a police block, but there's like a little opening. And honestly, like ostensibly, at least the way it looked, I'm like, that looks like I can still go in there. So I drive through and there's a car waiting to pull out of this parking lot. So I have to stop. And then suddenly, like, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people with AR-15s or whatever assault rifle, right? Like, looking like SWAT. Guy comes up to my window. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm parking my car. He's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to, what's the problem? It's like, you got to get out of here. I look at him. First off, I don't like the way you're talking to me. Swear to God, dude. Israeli Secret Service. Because they had an attitude. I'm like, I'm trying to work with you, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just,
I'm obviously
I'm like,
lost.
I looked at him.
Help
I was like,
me.
I don't like the way you're talking to me, man. And he was just like completely thrown off. Like, what? He's like, you got to get out of here right now. So then I
Go where?
Yeah, I UE my car. I'm like, all right, I'll leave, right? But as I do a 180 and I pull the car around, I notice that the valet is actually still within this section running. So then I pull back over and he's like, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? I'm like, I'm valeting my car. I give my keys to the valet. And the craziest thing was my coworker was on the corner, like, Justin? And I'm like, yo, what's up, Zach? He's like, dude, what just happened? Like, I thought you were about to get shot or arrested, but like,
You're like, the answer
I
is
just-
yes.
listen,
Both of
like,
those things
Just
are
another
probably-
day in the
So
office.
someone was like visiting Washington, and you were like in the security bubble
it
or
was
something.
Netanyahu.
Oh, was it really? Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, Netanyahu was in DC, and dude, I had no idea. But like,
Yeah, you were there for
here's the
business.
thing: if you're gonna talk to me with disrespect, I didn't like.
You matched them.
I matched him.
I think
I just looked at him and said, "Don't talk to me like that." It's that simple. And I think some people are like so thrown off because there's so much negativity going at you. And if you look at someone who's really chewing you up, and you're just like, "Don't talk to me like that," they get because it reflects them.
Especially when
I'm
you
not
do it
even-
not like, yo, don't talk to me like,
I'm
but
not
like when
even
you're like,
like-
dude, don't, you need to,
Yeah.
I'm not escalating.
in a calm
I'm
demeanor.
not being.
You're escalating.
I'm not even trying to be pejorative. I didn't name call you. I didn't say anything about you. All I said was, "Don't talk to me like that." And Israeli Secret Service was, dude. He was like, "What?"
Yeah.
You rewired him.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
like-
also when you're carrying a long rifle, you're probably like, I think I'm in charge here. So
Yeah.
as soon as you that like equalized
No, he
it
was.
to a
I
degree,
mean, I didn't realize
gonna do
he's not.
Poppy?
He wasn't
Like,
American either. They were Israeli Secret
Yeah.
Service. But yeah, it was. If my coworker wasn't there watching all of this, and that was the craziest thing. Like
Could've just
we
gotten
were
ghost.
covering different state territories. This is not someone I see every week. Just standing on the corner, like witnessing the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is crazy. Oh, wait, that's Justin. What's up, man?
like, hey,
Yeah, like nothing, just
wild.
politics.
So yeah, I mean, when it comes to authority, and that was just something, I got in trouble a lot as a kid. Respect given, respect, dude. Like if I get pulled over, hey officer, what's up, man? I'm sorry, man. I really am. What did I do?
Yeah.
Right. But soon as anybody in any position just starts breaking you down, you can stop people in their tracks, and it just it kind of reflects it back at them. Like you said, it's just like you don't even have to take it negative, right?
Yeah.
But if you can just be like, dude, don't,
I know personally for me, it's like when I have issues with kids in class, like, I mean, kids are just popping off, just being annoying and stuff like that. Like, I'll make it a point to, I won't like yell at them in class.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, let's go talk in the hallway for a sec.
That's
Then
respect too.
talk in the hallway. And again, I'm just like, what's the problem? Like, really, what's the issue why you can't stop talking over me while I'm trying to give instructions? And it's always like, they don't give you an answer. I'm just like, did I do anything? I asked him, did I do anything to make you disrespect me?
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm like, all right, so let's just go back in. Let's do what we need to do, and we're fine, man. You know? Now,
Yeah.
again, next day, it's the same exact thing. But, it's, I feel like it's much better to, kids, just people in general, like, meet them on that level. You know what I mean? And just as kind of what you were saying is, like, as soon as, I always feel like when I'm having an argument with somebody, as soon as you start yelling, you lost the argument.
Oh,
you know what I mean? If you're
100%,
popping
man.
off, like, then you lost, man.
If you can be, if your emotions can easily be, affected, then you're easily affected as a person. And I think there's a stoic nature with just being masculine in general that you got to let shit fall off your shoulders.
I think what's wild about that though too is you have to think like you don't know. It's like with anything, but like in the kid, like has anyone ever spoken to that kid like that before? Like, and I mean, just in the level of like where you didn't yell at him or embarrass him or her or whoever it was, like, and you took them out and you're like, we're gonna have a real adult conversation right now. Like, this is how people interact with each other.
Well, I think sometimes when an adult actually talks to a kid, like, well, you're still an adult, but just can kind of level with them a little bit because it's like, some of the kids I work with are just they're, they have emotional issues and stuff like that. And they just come from houses that are just not good, So it's like, I understand, like, you're living in a war zone. And then when you come in here, you're finding this is like your solace, yet, again, how much did middle school suck for everybody in the sense that, like, you didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like,
no, being a kid is weird.
Yeah.
Well, middle school's the weirdest,
I think that's the best way of putting it. I should say weird. Yeah. But, I think sometimes just some of these kids, you just level with them a little bit.
Yeah.
And just really,
I needed a Tom Hayes for me, man. Like I had an older brother, 3 years older. And like, when he was going through stuff, like that's how it is with older brothers, especially dude, a 3-year age gap, especially around puberty is so insane. Like when your brother's 18 and you're 15, it's not
totally
even
different.
Dude, it's not even close. Like he looks like he's John Cena talking to me. I'd be at home.
You look like his
I got to
son.
deal with the bullshit of my brother. My brother is putting all his problems on me, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then I go into school and I'm this class clown and things like that. And it's like, I'm acting out, right? I don't realize all the stuff I'm bottling up. You know what I mean? So like being funny, I think for a lot of kids is just like the easiest way to feel accepted.
Yeah.
And, let's be real. Like we do need in some percentage someone to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
need levity.
we don't need a black hole of distraction. Like maybe
It
I
doesn't
was
need to
at
be
times.
a clown car.
Dude,
Black hole of
dude,
distraction.
I bumped into people later on. I'm like, do you remember anything about me and PP? And like, someone said to me, she was like, Justin, when I had classes with you, like they couldn't operate. The class just
You were
couldn't.
sanding the gear for
Dude,
sure.
the class just couldn't function properly, and I
am thinking of so many kids right now. Like now I'm realizing, but it's different. It's not.
It's
like,
rampant?
Oh yeah, it's. But it's different.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
Go
It's-
viral, bro.
Well, that's another thing. I think there's much more of. It's not just the people in the classroom that are seeing it. It could be other people type of seeing it. You know what I mean? So if they have their phones out, they're videotaping something. It's not just for this class. It's for
Dude,
the
you
other
get-
100
you
kids
get-
and stuff.
What's the
idea
deal
of
with that?
performing.
Getting taped.
Well, I mean, with us in schools, like we have it so you can't film.
You film a
and stuff.
TikTok in the hallway, like you're going to the principal's office.
I mean, middle school, yes.
The dance is bad. but-
Exactly.
It depends. Was it kind
Did
of
you
fire?
hit it? Yeah. No, I mean, like I know at the high school, like they have their phones. They're allowed to have them and stuff. Like, and I mean, that is the strange nature of filming stuff. Like I mean, I think about it like swimming in high school.
Sure.
It's like we were in the locker room and stuff like that. And now you have signs, please don't film in the locker room. I was like, who the fuck was doing that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just never even thought of that as being like a thing. Like,
Right, yeah,
I wanted to touch on this. So I'm getting my hair done like 2 weeks ago, right? I got a haircut.
get that weave, dude.
Oh, I thought that was a wig.
So no, she looked, we're making small talk and she's like, what school did you go to? I was like, I went to Perkiomen Valley growing up. And she's like, oh, well, what do you think about all the controversy? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, first off, with the trans bathrooms or whatever, she said,
yeah.
I guess there was a student walkout. Is that, you know about, like, I don't want you to speak to
no,
it
no.
overstep, but I guess a bunch of guys, like the guys, was it, or?
You know what? I don't know 100%. I'm like, I was aware of it. I wasn't at the building. Like I was over at the other middle school and stuff like that. I mean, I'll be honest, they do these walkouts every once in a while. I'm dead serious. Like I'm not making light of the
we had
situation.
one.
Yeah, and what they do is they say,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and everyone
after you made
planned for
that
it. They
threat.
basically catered it.
yeah, that's what it like.
We
What,
could walk out after you made the bomb threat.
Never happened. I never
allegedly.
There's no proof. There's no substantial proof with it.
no, but I remember. As far as I recall, like I think they just do it. They're like, all right, the first 3 periods of the day, you can go out to the baseball field, stand there, let your voice be heard, and then just make sure you're back by lunch or like your 4 or 5 period. You know, that I remember we did that. I think we did that or something.
I forget. Of course, this is like typically the way it is. Like we didn't know why we were doing it. We just like, oh, let's go.
Like there's a
outside.
crowd of people moving there. All right.
It was pure mob mentality. But
Well, what's the name of that UPenn trans swimmer that? Like,
Oh, dude. Oh, okay. You want to go on
So
a hot? You want a hot take that you definitely need to cut? Yeah.
here's the thing. Like
yeah,
first off, I really do believe in the division of the sports, right? You know what I mean? You have male bone structure. A lot of we could get really deep down these rabbit holes, but I also simultaneously think it's hysterically funny, dude.
It is
It's
very
so
funny.
funny. Like, just let men win every women's sport ever, and
think
then
that-
we can all agree on like the lunacy of the situation. Because, dude, these women are spectacular athletes.
There's a comedian that made a joke about that. He's like, honestly, I can't wait for trans women to take over all women's sports. And he was like,
dude, and that's how it's like the pendulum.
What's it? Leah Thomas, I think her name is.
Leah Thomas.
And I'll be honest, I'm like, you do what you want. I'm all pro trans, you want. But I think as me as a swimmer,
sure,
that was when it really honestly hit me when I was like, oh, that ain't right. Like swimming is such a numbers game. And again, men are faster than women at swimming. That's just based off, as you said, the bone structure, the
muscle mass.
physicality. Like that's just how it is. So it's like
pig.
So it's like I know that's one that I was like, it never really hit me until that. I was like, she.
Well, that's your sport, man.
Yeah, and I hate to say, it, but other ones I was like,
they
whatever.
did that, but they did it in UFC. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, that shit.
There was like a trans woman that fought in UFC, and her first 2 fights she won in, I think, first round, and both her opponents had fractured skulls, and it was like, okay, well, we're not going to let this happen anymore. Like
that's actually when it's like not even funny at all.
Right?
Like,
that was physically like,
but like the swimming's a little funny.
Oh no, that's what I mean. It is.
It's like I'm just saying, like, if you want to take it down the like. That level.
Because what was she wearing? Like a singles?
So from what I mean,
the bulge there, right?
There's the swimmer Riley Gaines. Like she's like on the forefront of that, like really kind of pushing against that. I don't even like her. She's a little bit too like on the other side. But she was saying how when she competed against Leah Thomas, like in the locker rooms, it was just like apparently just. Now again, I'm just getting this from an interview that I heard. Just drop trout. I mean that's what you do. You know what I mean? But you're not looking, but apparently, when you see an exposed penis in a female, locker room, then you're like, oh, look at that. One thing doesn't look like the other,
Yeah.
Sesame Street.
We're definitely like working through this stuff as a society. I mean, I think there is a smallness to the debate that I think is regrettable because there's got to be a way for everyone to be able to compete and to be involved in stuff.
I've heard that.
And I just think
I want that.
Totally. I just think there's like, when you talk about facilities and stuff, I mean, the answer is like everyone should just have a bunch of private rooms for people. All right, next problem. You know what I mean? I just think there's so many. Unfortunately, there are very real.
Why
things.
You got to make so much sense, Max?
It's one of those things that.
Why is everyone fighting over that? Like,
it's very emotionally charged. Well, the reason they are is because, in my opinion, there's a lot of grifters on. Again, in my opinion. A lot on the right that use it to, anecdotal stories to say, see, this is an example of X, Y, and Z, and this is why we should. And I just think, I don't know, there's a smallness to it. It's been like 10 years of talking about this stuff, and I understand it's very important to people, but like I saw that happen in stand-up too, where like pretty much since I started doing stand-up in like 2012, or no. Yeah, I guess basically. And I don't know, it's like if you watch all the stand-up specials of the last 10 years, like everyone has to do their little bit about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I still haven't really heard a take that's super interesting other than the takes by people that are trans or have a family. Like, right. I'm sort of not talking about it now, but like culturally, I'm just like, I think we've reached a point where, like most of these things, I mean, the civil rights, like Martin Luther King Jr. was not popular in his time. I think if either side is expecting 100%,
you're not going to get
understanding. I think it's not going to happen. I think if I don't know, I just think a lot of it's just regrettable that it's become so weaponized, and I think a lot of it can be solved very quickly. I think you're always going to have people that I don't know, man. When I lost at sports, like you still have the scoreboard, like how you did. So okay, maybe in your head you think this one person didn't deserve it. Okay, well you know how you did, so maybe you feel like you won. I don't know. It's not. I don't know. The whole thing just seems sort of like bleh to me.
I think where it becomes like difficult from defining it is like when it comes to things like the podium. Yeah. Right. Like in swimming case, it's like plenty of those women are like, all right, well, disqualifying her, is in some sense, was my time better or not? Right. But then when you go to the podium and you're wearing a silver, whatever.
Well, I think that was an issue.
And like, that's the difficult part is where like you're being judged against something that maybe you feel is unfair. Mm-hmm. But I love what you had to say. There's definitely been a lot of banal takes on it.
Like why drag
it on? A lot of it's used for other purposes. Exactly. And I just think like there's got to be easy solutions to a lot of this stuff. And well, the other thing I want to say is I think that like, and this isn't just on that issue, there's a lot of issues, like social stuff that gets trotted out, like, or dealt with, is the idea of understanding. I feel like we grew up like in the 90s being like, okay, we need to understand we understand people that are different from us, different groups and stuff. No, but like, I don't know, that was the understanding.
No, you're right.
I'm at this point now where like, I don't need to understand to treat people with respect. You know, like I kind of feel like the problem the left gets into sometimes is this like endless education of ourselves, which is good and fine and probably is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But like, at the end of the day, I think people that are part of those communities probably, my guess, just speaking from the outside, is like, I don't really care if you understand my life or who I am, as long as you just like treat me well, and I'm generally safe and treated the same by the law and stuff. And I think a lot of this stuff will I mean, you know, I think the generations will kind of quote unquote solve these things faster than, you know, the idea that like boomers are going to come up with a compromise that makes sense. It's like, no, what's going to happen is we're going to get more and more Gen Z people in Congress, and it'll become just part of life. I mean, we grew up where gay marriage was like a weird thing. It was
just being gay.
Yeah,
like not
but
even
that was like
married.
that was like 20 years ago when we were in middle school. That was like crazy, and now it's like I don't know. I just think these things, you know, evolve on their own outside of these anecdotes. And I'm always wary of like, you know, in a country of 350 million people, that both, you know, all sides. There's more than two sides, but all sides let ourselves be led by whatever anecdotes in the news, and that's what we have to talk about. As if in a nation of 350 million people, you're not always going to be able to find exceptions to rules and things that piss you off and things where people go too far and X, Y, and Z. It's like, you know, it's just this endless fucking anecdote debate that.
Well, I think in the future things are only going to get more outlandish in personality.
I agree,
and just, you know, I think like
outlandish relative to what it is now.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like that's every generation's plight, is like, you know, feeling like, oh, you know, you guys are so crazy today. Back when we were so traditional and proper, and like, you know, 50 years from now, like if you could just teleport, you could be walking down the street in New York City and just like not even know what you're looking at. Just like the most insane outfits, and just, you know, people are wearing like robot, you know, whatever. Like there's cyborgs walking, you know, holding hands with people. You're
you
like,
have
are they
some
together?
of that here.
Like,
back in my day, we're just banging dudes.
And it was like all MRI everything for a long time. So I was an MRI technologist for 5 years. I worked on every vendor simultaneously because I worked 4 per diems at the same time. I was offered full-time jobs, but I thought if I can work on every vendor for a minimum of 5 years, then I'll have multi-vendor experience. So it's the idea of like,
it's crazy.
You have an iPhone or you have an Android, you know how they're completely different operating systems. Take that times like 10, and that's how different MRIs operate. Like you can't just jump from one manufacturer to the other and immediately know what you're doing.
Okay.
So having multi-vendor experience allowed me to transfer that to the corporate world, where I was an application specialist. So I taught MRI.
Okay.
And you know, actually, you know, was before I met with you earlier today, I was actually tutoring someone.
I was going to ask, how do you like teaching that, or what's that experience like?
Love teaching, dude.
Good, isn't it fun?
I mean, MRI physics is magic. It's kismet to me. To me, MRI physics is beautiful because all we image in MRI is hydrogen. Okay, and it just so happens that the most abundant element in your body is within a safe resonant ranged image. Okay, so there's all these other elements we could image, right? So basically you need to image any element, it needs to have an odd number of protons or neutrons, right? Wow. So the idea is like when you go into a magnetic field, right, all your protons want to align with the field, okay? And so if you have something like with even number of protons, one will align parallel and one anti-parallel, and they'll cancel the magnetic fields out. Whereas hydrogen is basically referred to as protium. It's just one proton. And so you have this net magnetic moment where you can take all the hydrogen in you, which is the most abundant substance, send in a radio frequency that matches its frequency. It's like pushing someone on a swing.
Okay.
If I'm pushing someone on a swing, I can't just throw my arms out there. I have to match the resonance of them. And to me, the beauty of MRI is like the most abundant element in your body is also in a safe range of radio frequencies. So it's like I turn your body into a radio station, right? And then I spatially encode you with a magnetic fields and, you know,
that's a pickup line.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Be able to turn your body into a radio station.
AM or FM, baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to 3-dimensionally encode you, girl.
You know, just
Yeah.
Take me out to dinner
but
first.
Dude, I mean, MRI is one of those things that the moment I understood the basics of it was the moment I realized I literally knew nothing, dude. Like I could have a podcast strictly around MRI and the physics. It's absolutely spectacular. I mean, you can one image the water's bright, next image the water's dark. How we do that? There's 10 different ways on two ways on Tuesday. It's just
wow,
that's awesome, man.
So when you say, this is me showing my ignorance, so I apologize. But when you say in a safe frequency to do it, if something was in a dangerous frequency, like that could like cause serious damage to us. Like,
we could do MRI with your electrons.
Okay.
But then I'd have to microwave you.
Okay.
Sweet.
So yeah,
you know what I mean?
So
And
it
that's
cause
the
like
freak-
severe damage to.
Yeah, exactly.
Have there been crazy MRI accidents and stuff where people?
Dude, the craziest. Yeah, it's
Like,
a really
I've actually heard some wild stuff too.
So
Usually
really-
with metal, like people having metal items inside them.
There's 3 forms of radiation in an MRI. They're non-ionizing, so they don't eject electrons out of the K shell or anything like that. So you have the main field, and the main field is usually around 1.5 Tesla. It's just 33,000 times the Earth's magnetic field. So you can have what's called the missile effect. So an oxygen tank can kill someone, and there's a famous case where a boy's head was unfortunately crushed, and that's kind of like MRI safety's North Star. Honestly, man, like
What, something flew across the room? Or-
yeah, it's just
pulled
really
into
sad.
it.
So
Yeah.
a nurse brought an oxygen tank into the room, and it killed this young boy.
Jeez.
And
The worst part about that too, well, not the worst, but one of the worst parts about that would be like that nurse. Like,
she
had to be
I'm-
devastated. Like
yeah.
because it would just be like one
Yep.
of those things where if you got close enough, like that's all it takes, and then it would have been like
But-
ripped out of like
what that boy's life has done for the MRI community,
in terms of safety and stuff.
True.
for real, like he's like the North Star, man. Like it's such a dangerous environment because the magnetic field's always on. I don't know if you've heard that with MRI. We superconduct it. So the idea is like electrical resistance gets down to 0 when it gets cold enough. And so imagine I'm running an electron through a circular wire here, right? And those electrons will create a magnetic field perpendicular to them. Well, I have to keep putting energy in, right? To keep it from attenuating. But if I cool it, right, below say 4 degrees Kelvin with liquid helium, the electrical resistance becomes 0. And so those electrons will travel forever. And so we keep the magnet always on by keeping it cryogenically superconducted. And so
it's crazy.
dude,
It's just so-
honestly,
it's
man,
so smart.
I don't want to. Yeah, I'm gonna.
so
You
side-
smart.
We were making
smart.
jokes and cool stuff, and now I'm,
Well, no, we've had
I'm
this
wrecking
is the
everything.
serious
I'm loving
moment.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm loving it,
I
man.
don't
Are you
know,
kidding
man.
me?
I'm trying to think if I know anything to that level of detail.
I got nothing. I study a little bit of history, but that's all
Oh
I got.
man,
Yeah.
dude, like MRI physics is it's so beautiful, man, and like it's actually kind of helped me understand like quantum computers, and that's the whole wave function, man. I went deep down the rabbit hole of quantum physics, and then you just get to this like I had all these breakthroughs. It was just like kind of messed me up for a bit. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing exists without measurement. I'm like, so then what is reality? And I'm like, oh. And then I talk to people who are like, yeah, I've astral projected. I talk to 5th dimensional beings. And then and it's like everything's consciousness.
Oh, this brings it
And
back to so this is where I'm going to pull us out and start talking about wonky stuff. Anyone
Yeah,
ever
good.
had the sleep paralysis demon?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, yes. I was actually about to ask that. You had that
The
too?
dude's on the
You ever
lease,
have
man.
that?
I see that guy all the time.
I'll say this.
Dude, that mother.
Folded my laundry.
I had a patient not too
Tim?
long ago. I scanned. It was a younger girl. And she was dealing with sleep paralysis. And I talked to her, dude, you connect with some of your patients, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, you're
And
human.
Like she's in the
And-
machine and you're talking over the thing, or
No,
Oh, yeah,
like the study.
beforehand.
No,
Oh,
it was
okay.
after the
Yeah.
study was
Oh,
done,
after,
and
okay.
I actually, because we had that rapport, I felt like I could ask her. I'm like, did you ever see any entity in the corner, right? And she's like the dark slender guy, because I've heard so many people talk about it.
Yeah.
And I looked at her. I'm like, maybe you should pray. Honestly,
Yeah.
seriously, man.
I'm not laughing at the idea. I'm just
Yeah.
laughing at like if I was a kid, that would freak me out.
Oh my
if like
god!
the doctor
yeah.
guy was
But
like,
He just
you're gonna have to pray.
There's
like,
kind
push
of
the
like a
mic out a
no-go
little.
region between, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
I
yeah,
passed
yeah,
that, but like, dude, I felt you feel so deeply for your patients.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially with kids, like it's so
Oh,
hard.
yeah.
Like,
But you have experienced that?
oh yeah.
Do you have it a lot, or like I've only
No.
had it twice?
So this is wild. I've had that I can remember sleep paralysis 3 times. Never saw the demon the 3 times I had it.
Oh, really?
I just realized it because I was like, I can't sit up. Like I'm very much awake and like I'm like looking around, but like I couldn't, whatever.
Yeah.
And you know how, well, maybe you don't know how, but like I feel like it's a general thing where like when something's going on, like sometimes you talk to yourself where you're kind of like, you know, and like I couldn't even hear myself speak. Like I could hear the internal monologue obviously, but like when I would kind of be like, what? Like there was nothing.
Couldn't move your mouth.
And that's when I was like, oh, well, this is frightening, you know, and I had never heard of sleep paralysis or anything like that. I think at that point, the very first time I had it, I hadn't even heard of stroke. So I couldn't even worry about, like, I just had no idea where I'm like, I can't move. Why can't I move? And then all of a sudden it was like foot action started happening. And then like everything kind of like clicked on. And then like I sat up and I was like, okay. The second time was dream within a dream. So I woke up and I was still in the dream.
Oh, word.
And then something would happen and then I'd wake up and then I was still in the dream. And then something would happen and then I woke up and I was still in the dream. Like, and it was just like over. Yeah. But like, it was always me waking up in bed and being like, what the hell? And then like something would bust through the door. And then like I would wake up and then be like, holy shit, and like turn and look and like somebody sitting with me that like
but when you wake up for real though, is there like a moment of like incredulousness where you're just like, am I awake? Like
at least what I experienced.
Well, in that one,
you're still
and that like there started to be like there was the moment where like it had happened enough, like it felt like Groundhog Day to kind of add levity to it, where it was like then I just looked at the door and I'm like, come on, like let's go.
Oh wow.
Like you know, like
interesting.
come through. And then like when it didn't, it was like, okay, I'm awake. Like and then I went up and like went, like you know whatever. But the last time happened most recently where I actually saw, you know, the Slender, whatever, you know.
What was your experience with it like?
So I was dabbling in astral projection as well. I got to the point where I had like fully relaxed and everything started to kind of like tingle and then there was a hum. And like,
I've heard about that.
I was trying to let the hum happen, but I couldn't focus myself enough to not, and my brain went to that, and then like I woke up, but I didn't. Like, so it was like I was there, and then like when I did it, it was like I had the feeling of like the, you know, like you have like that falling feeling, and like when I did, I'm laying on my back, and all I can see is like down my body and like down my bed. And it was like there in like literally a corner. And I also have like a sloped roof and it was like there. And again, I can't speak at this point because it's paralysis. And, you know, my wife's laying next to me in bed and I'm literally like trying to wake her to wake me, but like I can't move.
Wow.
And did you have the bird's eye view? Like, were you out?
I didn't make it out. Okay. I was like almost well, I mean, I guess I did, but like consciously, I was to the point where I was hearing kind of like that, like, and it starts to like get louder. Yeah. But like, and like when it got to a loud enough point, I couldn't focus or whatever to like let it take over.
Yeah.
And like when I drew back, that's when I had like that falling feeling, and that's when I was like stuck. So like, when it's like, did you make it out? Was the falling feeling because I did? Like, you know, was that like slamming me back in? I don't know. Like, I don't know that piece, but like it was there. And like all I could do was like make a noise like down in here. Like, so it was like basically passing
like
air.
Like almost,
Yeah. Well, but no, it was like a squeal. Like, because I could like literally like,
you know, that's
like,
what happened to me.
Force that out. And,
wow.
Eventually, I did that long enough that systems came back online. But the whole time I'm looking at whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
did it
ever approach you?
No, it was just standing there looking. Yeah. Well, actually, when I saw it,
I want to hear about that.
When I saw it, it was at the foot of my bed, like in that corner. And when I was finally able to be like, like, so I could pass through like tongue, vocal cord, like everything was working. because I'm looking at it and I'm stuck in that space, it then pulled back into the wall and like went up, and then like I sat up and like was looking, and then everything kind of like came into focus.
Wow.
And I have an air filter in that corner with like light, and then it's like that light came into focus and I could see. So, you know, in my own mind, to be able to go back to bed, I was like, oh, it was my eyes like messed up, you know, but like there's so many people that have the same exact experience that it's like, how many people have air filters in their corner with a light that, like, you know, like.
Well, I want to hear Tom. Tom kind of was.
Yeah. So I had it happened to me twice. This was like right when I was like during like I knew we were going to be breaking up with my last relationship, so I know I was like really stressed. I remember I was like sleeping, and like I was even sleeping in a whole another room, and I just and I just remember like staying up in the one room and falling asleep. And I just remember waking up, and at the very like corner of the foot of the bed was, and it wasn't a tall figure. It was just like probably like your size or something like that. Just a black silhouette. Was it you? No, but
no, but like to your point, it's not like 10 feet tall. It was like,
no,
it was like, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, like a little guy at the bottom, but like it was somebody that if.
And I'm not like, I'm not a superstitious person. I really don't have nightmares or dreams that much. Yeah, but I just remember seeing him at the foot of the bed and just being like I wasn't even freaked out initially. I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? You know, and then just saw it slowly like kind of getting closer to like the side of the bed. And again, the whole thing.
What are they doing?
What do you mean?
What's the purpose of this entity, honestly? Yeah. Is it like feeding off your like fear?
I would imagine.
I've heard that a lot.
If you're looking at it as like some entity or being, I would imagine that's probably feeding off of
like
energy.
Like a lower dimensional entity.
Yeah, I would say something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember it very vividly because it like came over like to the right to the side of my bed. Again, I couldn't.
Did it have like a face?
No, it's just completely black.
Yeah.
And then I remember like again so terrified, and it like in a split second it lunged, and I'm not even kidding you, man. I felt like pressure on my chest, and I felt myself getting pushed in to like my mattress.
Wow.
And like for like just maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and then I woke up. I mean, it was like 2:30 in the morning. I worked the next day. I was like, there's no way I'm going back to bed. I remember I was just like, no way. And then I remember like a few weeks later, same thing, still living in the house. Yeah. You know, same place with her. So it was like, and that's another thing, I think the stress of it all, you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, pretty much same exact thing. Just woke up. I was like, oh, not again.
I've been told by some skilled people that one of the main reasons for sleep paralysis is your astral body hasn't realigned yet with your physical body, and that's the problem.
I see that.
You know what I mean? Like I've only had sleep paralysis once in my entire life, and it was from a really heavy night of drinking in my 20s, and I heard like you know, you hear like alcohol, like it's basically like you heard spirits, you know, you're like you're lowering your energy field and you're letting spirit, you know, people. Yeah. There's I'm not even gonna go.
Point. No, but I know where you're getting at. Yeah, no, I got you.
I had it when I think I've had it quite a bit actually. I don't know. I can think of 3 or 4 specific things, but I feel like it's something I've had my whole life. But like the most recent time was I take a melatonin to help me sleep.
Oh yeah, and I hear that all the time with melatonin.
And as I was
really
starting to fall asleep,
like apparently that's pretty common.
Go ahead.
It felt very seamless to me, but I got up to check the window and like to open the window because it was hot in the room or something. But then like all of a sudden I realized like that didn't actually happen. Like I had sort of left where I was in bed to do it, but it was very real. I felt like I'd done it, so I wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't, and like.
Yeah, am I dreaming? But
it was such it was such a seamless feeling of like, this is just as real as that. Like, it was like an alternate dimension thing where I did open the window to do it, but then the window was still closed and I was freaked out. I haven't really seen that figure. And I mean, what do I know? But I guess the right side of my brain is kind of like, well, it's, what else would it look like? Except, most people sleep in the dark and most people have a few objects in their room, and you probably don't have objects too close to your bed because it would interfere with you getting into the bed. So,
yeah, it's like the people hanging the coat on the door and
I
it freaks them out when they wake up.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, which isn't to say I don't think those things happen, but
any which way what it was. But in my personal experience, the older I get, the more I feel like there is some level of spiritual warfare going on. That like, dude, when I was 8, when last night hung out with you, Max, like you asked me then, all that's baloney, right? Base reality is physical, Big Bang, I'm Stardust, infinite, I don't matter, right? There's nothing spiritual, right? I was never an atheist, but I was certainly like more agnostic. And it's just like through my life experience and just talking to people who really are like gurus and masters, and they've already kind of gone deep down this hole. I'm like, oh, there's so many tiers to like spirituality, and there are these negative entities, and there are these higher dimensional beings, and they're all kind of pulling for your attention in some sense, and we're all just trying to ascend in some way. And I think that the negative, there are negative entities that want to stop that. And
well, it's kind of like to the point we were talking about earlier, where it's like you attract what you put out. Like, and it is kind of wild the amount of like examples there are of people that are just like stuck in a vicious circle, like, and it's just this self-fulfilling prophecy.
The negative
like,
self-talk. Never say to yourself, I'm so unlucky. I'm so unlucky. Well, you sure are if you keep pulling in all that negativity.
And then the flip side of that is you look at these people and they're like, everything just goes right for them. Yeah, because they're constantly just fighting for the fact of like, we're going to do this. We're going to make it work. We're going to figure it out. We're going to go. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to, and then it does. Like, and then people look at that as like, amazing. And it's like, well, I mean, it is like from a determination standpoint, but it's like, no, like they constantly fought to be that way. Like, like it wasn't easy. It's not like you just wake up and you're like, I'm going to have a good day today. And like, and then you like go and do it. But certainly if you wake up and you're not feeling great, your day is very different if you make an effort to be like, okay, how can I make this good? Versus if you're just like, this sucks. Like, see how the rest of your day goes whenever you just are like, nah, I just don't feel like being happy today. Like, you won't be. Like it's pretty like there's a very strong chance like you won't be.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to, it reminds me of what I was saying. Like, if you wake up and you're at like 1%, like really low, it's like if you can get up to 50.1%, like just turn it into a victory day, just slightly better than yesterday. Yeah. And then you think of like your life is this big cruise liner where it's like, yeah, maybe you only turn half a degree today, but like
your trajectory just changed.
In 5 years, your trajectory is completely different. Right. And I think that's one benefit of getting older is sort of like, yeah, it sucks feeling like time's going faster sometimes, but also I'm much more confident in my ability to like, things will unravel if I just I don't have to fully understand necessarily. If I slowly move towards this direction, I will look up and suddenly be in a totally different place. Yep. I think it's hard to impress that. I don't know that I could have understood that at 20, but I spent a lot of time thinking like, how would I explain this to like a kid or something? And I guess the sad answer is you kind of can't.
It's wild is how your perspective changes. And I mean, from like, even like time, right? So like I've been having this conversation with a lot of different people where it's like, you remember when you were a kid and you were like going down the shore, showing my Phillyism. And like 2 hours was an eternity.
Yeah,
like
it's a long ass drive
and you're just like, when are we going to get there? Yeah. What is going on? Can we pull over and get McDonald's? Like whatever. Like you just wanted anything because you're like, this is insane. Now I'm like, hey, we made it in 2 hours. It was pretty quick.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's a great drive.
So it's like, you're like, oh yeah, no traffic, man. Like we went across, like, so it's like now, like what you just said is like trying to explain that to someone younger. The amount of time that they have experienced, like their timeline is ever expanding for being able to appreciate just how short time is in general. So like to us, 2 hours, nothing. 5 years, nothing. Like I've already lived 34, like five, another sixth, like, whatever. You're like, I can wait that long for something good to happen. But like when you're 6,
you're like, that's my
wait
entire
your
life.
entire life for this to change, that's a very different perspective. So like it's hard. And I just think about like, at least from my standpoint, like, the people in my life, my parents, my grandparents, things like that you would tell them stuff as a kid. You brought it up from like, if I could go back right now, like I wouldn't give a shit. Like you're like, I know, I've seen the other side. Like I don't really care if I'm popular or not. Like I care, like, am I doing the right things? Am I doing them for the right reasons? And am I surrounding myself with people that care about those things? They told you that. They told you that. For the most part, in some way, shape, or form, they told you that. And when you're like 16, you're like, you don't get it, man. Like they made fun of my shoes. That
you've never been a teenager, Dad.
That does matter. And it's like very real because like that's your experience at that time. Yeah. And like that's all you've got. And then like when it goes beyond that, you realize you're like, who cared?
And
like,
take that and wrap it in social media. It's like,
could you? Yeah.
No, I can't imagine. I literally, what was great for me?
That's insane.
Like my
entire
before
world.
I met any of you guys, right? So like we really kind of started. You went to a different elementary school, so we had multiple elementaries merge into middle school.
Into middle,
dude, I was picked on so heavily in elementary. It was crazy.
Really?
That's what you guys actually didn't know that about me.
No, I went to South. Where'd you go?
Evergreen.
Okay, yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
like this is how bad it was. Like I was, because we moved mid-year. My father, was in medical sales, and we moved mid-year, which is so traumatizing. I was in the middle of the playground, on a chair. I put my hoodie over my knees, and I would pop my head in, and I would literally be like a turtle.
Turtle shell it, yeah.
Yo, for real. Like that's how bad I was bullied, and that's why like I got in trouble so much. You know what I mean? I had so much so much pent up rage in third grade. Whoa. And you wrap that in social media, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. It was the greatest thing was leaving in summer and knowing I will not see a single one of these people for like, was it 3 months? I don't even know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now they don't get the disconnect, right? With social media,
True.
I mean, I feel
get away from it.
I feel really bad that was the experience that you had,
Thank you.
And as you're saying, like,
it made me who I am, man.
no,
Like,
I mean, that's how I am. Like, you
Never
just
take
the
it back,
scars,
dude.
man. I wouldn't change anything, man.
Hot
100%.
take. You made you who you are.
dude,
Because there are a lot of people that take that and go the other way with it. And there's a lot of things that interact with that. I'm going to put that out there because without like going too much deeper down that, like generally speaking, we were very fortunate in that there was support systems through whether it was your dad or your mom or one of your friends, like eventually, or, whatever, that there are also a lot of people out there that don't have any of it. So like if they were in the same space that you were, they go down the dark route that like you see. And it's just amazing that something like someone like us sitting here and just like cracking a joke and being like, well, your hoodie was pretty dope. Like, and like that's enough to be like, I can go.
On that point, man, and this is like really controversial to even say, honestly, but like when something really bad happens, like I don't watch the news. I think it's toxic, but like if there's just like a news article, like school shooter, right? Awful situation. But knowing like how heavily bullied I was, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, man, did that guy have anyone there for him?
No.
Like, period.
The answer is no.
And I'm like, we need to like heal
it's
these
so
people.
easy.
You know what I mean? I don't like, it's so easy to jump right to the like, what a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the same way because I had a lot of those experiences too. And I had a lot of really messed up stuff that happened to me like when I was young, And then I got bullied a little bit in high school too for like a good amount of time to where like me considered fist fighting.
Yeah.
Really?
What was I going to do? I was 140 pound string bean. Like I was going to get murdered, but like I was so pent up to the point where I'm like, yo, this person's not going to get it unless I punch them in the face. And like, thank God I didn't, like, because I had other people to be like, no, Jordan, not really a good idea. Even if you do it and like you're successful, no, like it's not really going to fix it. But like, the point is, to your point, I had those people. Like, what if I didn't? Like, what if I even had somebody on the other side that was like, yeah, you should definitely deck that guy. Like, like, and then where would I be? Like, and what would everything be?
Yeah.
So it just
Not on the Wave Function podcast.
No,
Yeah.
It literally just takes like one good actor to like give that opportunity to
One good
change
soul,
all of it.
dude.
Yeah.
Just a hand reaching out. Just a Tom.
And they
Tom
don't-
Hayes bringing
Just
the
a
little
missing
kid in the
out.
hallway,
Mr.
just like,
Hayes,
hey,
yeah.
man,
Yeah.
did I disrespect you?
And
You
I'm
know what
yeah.
I mean?
And I'm gonna hit the point that you said and be a little like semantic about it. They don't even have to fix it. There just
They just
has
have
to
to
be a
witness it
semblance of
almost.
like not making it worse.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
You know,
Like that can change so much. If they can fix it, then that's even better. Like I would love for that. But like if they can just not add to the negativity, that is incredibly valuable.
Yeah. I know when I was growing up, man, I thought I was just cannon fodder. I was waiting for people to I was always this little
We were also the
runt,
youngest
so-
of three brothers. I feel like you were used to
but
that.
that's the
dynamic,
thing that
right?
makes it better because my two older brothers, one 3 years and one 6 years of Bev.
6?
Yeah, dog.
Dude.
Weren't you saying they're always putting you in closets?
Oh
and
yeah,
shit?
like
And,
so my
I
brother.
can't
Oh,
even
this
imagine.
is great. So I got
Wow.
so this is some games we played. Well, this is a game they would play. They would put like those big entertainment systems,
Oh, yeah.
like centers and stuff,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the big wooden
Yeah.
cabinets.
Yeah.
What they would do is they would take all the videotapes out of the bottom thing, like the double door, shove me in there, and then just like lock it up for like 10, 15 minutes. And like it was first 2 minutes of just me just pleading like for the love of Christ,
then-
get me out of here. And then eventually I realized they weren't coming back, and I was just like, all right. And then like literally they would come back and they're like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, could you give me like another minute here?
Yeah.
Like I literally would just get into a state of just like, you know,
That's
but this is also
pretty
just
wild.
this is learned behavior and stuff. And the reason why I think that I managed well within social settings a lot of times is like, if you say something stupid, you're gonna act a fool. You better get punched in the face, like, because that's how it was as a kid. Like I was like, my brothers, if I said something, did something, they were like, I don't like that, and it was just boom, like, you know.
I don't mean to laugh. It's
No,
like,
no,
I know it's
it's
real.
funny.
Like,
It's
yeah,
fun.
like-
I mean, dude, I wouldn't change it again. I wouldn't change it in any other way, man. Like, here's the fun. Here, let's make it funny. So what we used to do, we'd go down to the basement, and we had like, what we would do is we'd have somebody stand up, and you'd put like big Afghans and like blankets over them, like heavy stuff and whatnot, to make sure, give you a little cushion. And then what we would do, you'd put a cardboard box over them, and then we just take wiffle ball bats and just start wailing the hell out of the person in the box and stuff. It was great. It was fun even when you were in the box.
Get the sock and boppers out,
Yeah,
bro.
because you weren't getting hit or anything like
Yeah.
that. But every once in a while, the Afghan didn't hit your head right.
Yeah.
Somebody
Ooh.
gets a good crack right in there, and then you're
Yeah.
like, all right, game's over. Somebody starts crying. Another fun one is, do you
These
remember
are the millennial games.
Yeah. Do you remember like Nerf and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Do you-
Nerf or nothing,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Hell
Put
yeah,
that out
man.
there.
Shout out, nerd.
Yo, yeah.
Sponsored by Nerf.
Sponsor me.
Yeah.
Yo, sponsor Wave Function Nerf.
I remember we had a Nerf like bow and arrow. It was like
Yeah, I
just like, you
remember
remember
that
the thing?
Oh, yeah,
I remember
And
that.
it had like a big dart.
Yeah. So I remember one time just coming downstairs. Both my brothers are down there, and I just like they call me down, and they're like, I'm like, hey, what's up? You know,
call you down.
and they're like, we're gonna play something. I was like, what are we doing? And they're like, well, we're gonna hit you with this. Like, we're gonna shoot you with this. I was like, okay. I was like, it's a Nerf arrow. I'm like, that's fine. And then my brother eventually puts a number of thumbtacks on the
It
edge
was
of it,
only
and
a
I'm
matter
like,
of time. I was waiting for Staples.
it was one of
but,
those
like,
things where I was even like, oh no, like this is not. And dude, I mean, I didn't get hit, luckily, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
just one of those things.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. Now,
Dude, how about the amount of times, like, not even brothers, but like just the brothers you chose?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Well, we all just like punch each other in the nuts, and that was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
dude.
And you were like,
Ball tap?
that's not hilarious.
Yeah.
But like, it was.
Oh yeah,
Like,
Well,
Dude,
such a
it's
different-
You know what that reminded me of? I got a funny story. You guys know Andrew Smith, so
yeah.
we were at the Renaissance Fair.
Okay.
Of course.
And, you know,
What did you mean by that, Tom?
Yeah.
being wizards, you know.
Oh, you can-
No,
oh,
no, this
here,
is
can
like
I-
grade
I-
school. This is
Yeah, you should-
yeah. So, there was this thing where you could dress up in the full armor, right? Shield, chainmail,
seen
everything,
this.
right? And they would give you
They fight like literal suits of armor.
Oh, that's
like,
yeah,
cool.
and you're literally
Have you
given
seen
like
this?
a metal, like, dude. It
It's
wasn't
like a mace.
Yeah, it
Like-
wasn't. It was a sword, but
Okay.
it was not a sharp sword, but it was still a heavy hunk of metal.
Yeah.
And you would beat each other, right?
Yes.
So I'm like, yeah. Me and my buddy are like having like a friendly battle, and then, dude, he swings this freaking sword. Hits me right in the neck, and there's like an opening between the armor they have you put you on, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Knocks my ass out, dude.
Like out cold?
No,
Like, oh.
no. I just it
But
was like I'm
it
done.
just took you
I'm
down,
done.
yeah.
I had a huge like black and blue mark across me.
Yeah.
and I'm like, damn, like I paid for that.
You just got hit with a baseball
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, no.
You know, I'm like, all right, man. I didn't know I was getting decapitated today.
What's called our buddy Stu had a great line, and he was very genuine when he said it to me. And also, I think it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. If it is a slight, he's like, dude, Tom, you could just clean up at a Ren fair. How funny is that? Like, again, I don't know how to take that. I'm
You
like,
would, man.
I was like, I think I do
Thanks.
all right.
But what
the hell's that
and
supposed
stuff?
to mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you like a paladin? Are you like a wizard? Like what? if you're-
Level 5 fire wizard? What are you talking here? No, I'm paladin. No,
You're the turkey.
any
You're
of
a
that
big
shit.
turkey like guy.
what's that? Oh, yeah, I'm just there for the turkey
we
legs.
get you in like a full body robe, like where it's just like
Honestly, I could see you going barbarian. We had a metal phase at that time.
Oh,
You
dude.
could
Well, we
very
got the
much
Iron
love
Maiden
that.
shirt
Yeah.
on.
Oh yeah, Iron Maiden. Yeah. What's it called my first concert was Children of Bodom, and opening Amon Amarth.
Yes.
no way. Wait, what?
Yeah, I saw it in 2016 at the Trocadero.
That's metal.
I saw it with Ross.
Did they play Triple Corpse Hammer Blow?
Absolutely, dude. I was just
they
listening to
play
that the other
Triple
day,
Corpse?
man. I'm not
Wow.
even kidding. Oh,
I still listen to
Hell yeah.
like Guardians of Asgard. and-
Yeah, dude. I've been getting
Amon
back into
Amarth is-
Amon Amarth a lot, dude.
dude, they're
gotta
so
get-
I
talented.
went and
Viking
saw-
metal, baby.
Also, RIP.
Death and Fire.
RIP Truck,
I kinda
but,
wanna
like,
listen a little bit.
Trocadero Con.
Should we put it on? for the
Hey,
viewers?
they would love this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can that be the outro?
There's no music playing. We're just like,
We should listen to metal on the way back.
dude, I'm totally down,
like,
man.
I've
Dude,
been,
I'll
like,
play
getting
some
into
Amon
Opeth
Amarth
and
for you on the
stuff.
guitar after they're
I
done.
would-
Bro, like
that would be
I
a
play
great
Runes
treat
to
for
My
me.
Memory
Yeah.
on guitar.
I would love to
Yes.
hear that. That'd be very fan. Nice.
Drop B, dude.
Yeah. Dude, you took me to see Amon Amarth at the Trocadero when they were the headliner.
It was, and then who was it? It was
Himsa. I remember.
People were sitting down
Yeah.
for the opening bands because they were like, Amon Amarth is, Viking metal. These guys were just
build your chakra up for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these guys were. I don't. What would you classify them as? Like,
They were metal adjacent.
yeah,
Like
What?
Yeah, like I mean, at the time now, like there's like so many classifications of metal.
True.
It's like where you have like new metal, core, black.
Don't
like,
get me
death,
murdered,
like,
bro.
Whatever.
They're gonna be like, yo, Wave Function podcast and we're metal adjacent. I'm like, whoa, dude, I never heard of you.
Oh wait, no. We're talking about these openers. I don't even know if they're still out there anymore. But
dude,
like,
people from Scandinavia are gonna go nuts on your ass.
Yeah, metalheads are a different breed, dude.
and like I'd never been on the
metal
floor
concerts
before.
are fun, man.
Yeah, that was
Fun.
awesome. That was
Terrifying,
an
but
experience.
fun.
Yeah, terrifying. Really fun.
Metal concerts are terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I stay
was in
out.
two
I
Wall of
stay out
Deaths
of those.
back- yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've been in a Wall of Death. Yeah, that's
Dude,
tough.
yeah, they separate the crowd right down the middle, and they have you. So, like the first night, I was like, "Oh, sick! Wall of Death!" Right? Always, I've seen those on
This doesn't
YouTube.
sound ominous. Well, I
Right.
don't know what it is.
Dude,
what is it?
It's so basically like the
Think about
the lead
Moses
singer will-
parting the waters.
Yeah,
Okay.
And
it's like the
bring them
waters,
back
and then you
together.
slam into
and then
each
bring
other.
them back together. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Pharaoh's hunting you down. All right, so the lead singer will literally split the crowd down the middle, right,
Yeah.
to two halves, and they'll like wait for like it'll be like a heavy drop on the song.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they start playing,
Well, you know
both
it.
crowds like just run into each other.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
just start
halves.
moshing. Yeah.
The
That's
second
cool.
night, which was like it was 2 nights in a row, dude. I don't know this, you know. Yeah, but the second night they were like, "All right, we're gonna do a Wall of Death." I grabbed my friend, pulled him close. I was like, "I'm getting out of here."
Yeah.
For real. I was like, I'm getting out of here because I remember the first night being in a Wall of Death. Like
It's scary.
Just
Yeah,
like
dude.
my head almost colliding with another person, and it's about the people behind you pushing
Yes.
you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what's also wild? I'd be interested to hear your take on this. A lot of concerts do moshes and stuff like that, but like metal does like crazy stuff like that. They do circle
Thrash.
pitch, they do like walls of death, they do just plain old mosh, plain old like they do all of this like wild, crazy crowd stuff, and it's scary because like essentially there's like people beating each other up, kind of, but also like it's like a gang
There's
or like a cult
camaraderie in
because
it.
then it's like if somebody like really sees somebody getting hurt, everyone's like yo, and like everyone
yeah.
kind of like pulls
You
together.
see
And
somebody
like, are you
fall
all right,
down?
dude? Like
Yeah.
and like it's immediately like yo, man, they're trying to do like the thing to like make sure they get them help if they need help, but then it's like oh man, like they're like picking them up, they're like you really went in, like that was crazy, like like whatever, and like getting them out. Like
and that's a good point in the sense that when you have this, I don't know if it's based off the genre, but you have these small communities around certain music. Whereas like you see these festivals of these, 20,000 people, you hear people getting crushed and stuff.
Yeah.
You're like that. You're like, who's looking after these people?
Yeah.
Nobody, because these,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not a good community of people that listen to that music, but it's just like,
But there's a lot of people that hear that stuff that are in those communities, and then they shake their head and they're like, "Why?" Like like,
Is this a Travis Scott?
yeah, no,
Concert.
exactly. Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Astroworld.
And I mean that's one of the more recent ones where it was like absolutely devastating. But there's stuff that happens like that at concerts like,
Every
all
day,
the time where
yeah.
like something goes south.
I don't
and
put
it's
myself
like,
in those situations.
No,
man.
no.
I
Well,
would,
like you said, you hear your wall of death and you see it splitting near you. You're like,
Yeah, you
we're
just
going
run,
over
man.
yonder.
Yeah.
I can't be like shoulder to shoulder in any concert situation.
I'm with you. I don't like that. I don't
you
like being around, like-
it's like compressed gas. Like the further back you go, it just starts to loosen up, man.
The nobler it is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm never that person. I want to be in the front. F that. Like now, I'm gonna be in the back having a beer. Be like, nice job. Like you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't-
that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Not assholes to elbows. Like just brushing up against people the whole
I
time.
saw what was the festival? It was a festival at the down the shore last summer. Blink was playing and Turnstile. Do you guys know Turnstile? That's a good
That
band.
sounds familiar.
They're kind of hardcore, but they're really good. But during Blink set, I was buried in the sand up to like my neck. I was watching. It was cool. Yeah, I was like kind of off to the side, and I just
Literally
wanted to sit
buried.
down. Well, I mean, kind of. I like my wife like dug out a thing and I sat in it and then I was like covering
nice,
myself.
yeah.
But it was just a cool.
Could you
It was a
hear
cool
the bass
experience.
better? Or like, I don't know, acoustically,
Actually,
how
that's
was that?
kind of a cool question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
How were the acoustics down
Maybe
there?
it was cool.
Feeling the vibration.
When I was young, I was like a huge Blink fan. Still never seen them live.
Yeah.
It was like the original band that got back to, with fucking Tom, who can't sing anymore, but he's into aliens. That's a whole other thing.
Sweet.
Tom DeLonge has done a bunch of work.
That,
To,
Yeah.
that was hilarious.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when he came back and he's like, they played Aliens Exist. He's like, I told you guys I was right. Like,
yeah.
you know, like, yeah.
Wow.
Well, he has a whole foundation, the To the Stars thing. You got to look into that because they do a bunch of stuff with the disclosure and stuff.
It's the whole alien thing has gotten so weird. Where FBI had a website called the Vault. Okay.
Oh yeah.
They released it, and there were like
just like the Disney Vault.
They actually disclosed like the aliens in the FBI files, right? Then when I went to go back and show someone else, like they had gotten rid of them from the vault, but someone had luckily saved them, and like it just makes me think like aliens could touch down and land on live TV, and like people still wouldn't believe.
100%.
It's like
100%.
it's just like it's instinctual to you. You either believe in aliens or you don't, and your mind can't change otherwise.
Right.
Like there's such a
Yeah, I think we'd be shocked at how quickly the world went back to normal after disclosure. I think it would be like a week.
Well, it kind of
and then everyone would kind of
they
literally came out like in the middle of something. They're like,
we don't know
by the
what
way,
these are.
aliens exist, and we're gonna look into this. And everyone was like, yeah, we know. Like, and then they just like continued on. Like nobody was like, whoop-de-doo. Like, it kept going.
I mean, especially if it doesn't affect your daily life, I think people will just.
I also think from the fact I like to kind of put my mind in this space where it's like we worry about these things coming, like beings or whatever, and like coming here and invading us or doing these things.
Yeah.
Are there things that worry about us like coming to like are there like, yo, we see a planet and it's like a couple thousand light years away and we're not able to do that, but like it looks kind of wild over
those
there.
Creatures
like, and it's
going
us and we're
wild,
like, how can we get to Mars?
they're
like,
mad over skin colors down there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think mostly they're not.
It's a little weird.
They worry about their skin color. They got 2 hands. What the hell's that about?
That's always what I think with like some of the debates where I think they're small. It's like I always say like. The Galactic Council is not going to be happy with this. Like the fact that we're arguing about this shit. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Whatever bullshit they're talking about in the debates and like stupid social stuff of like, well, can these people do that? Like I just feel like aliens are watching it and they're just like, all right, they're not ready yet. Like they're not ready yet. That's how I feel. Is that they definitely exist, but
I also think we like to think of something being like wild and like a monster, and it's like every bit as likely as it's just
already
more.
Us. We're the aliens,
exactly.
dude.
Yes,
bro. Like
we're aliens to each other. Everybody's alien to each other.
Well, when I look at like ancient scripture, like Sumerian scripture, hieroglyphics, whatever, there's 2 ways to look at it, right? They're making up a story, chiseling in stone, or they're writing what they see.
Documenting it.
They're documenting, right? If you can actually really take the time to like chisel in stone history.
Yeah.
So like part of me is just like, all right, well, where do we come from? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that goes that history thing I was talking about earlier. It's like primary sources versus secondary sources. Even primary sources, there's no validity in most of them. Like, who's to say that you saw that? Unless somebody else writes a document and say like, yo, I just saw Jim watch this thing happen.
He's a liar.
And I wrote it down, like letting you guys know I saw him write it.
Right.
Who's doing that shit? Nobody. You know what I mean? So it's like.
But also to that point, like, I do think like on kind of like a little bit of a happier note and like less of like a targeting type thing.
Yeah,
like, can you imagine what it could have or would have been like being alive before like a lot of things were documented and just like, this is going to sound so hippy dippy, I know, but like the first person that like came up on a waterfall, what did that do to their brain? Like, you know what I mean? Like where you were just like,
water falling from that direction.
Yeah, like you just kind of like look around. You're like,
probably worship
what
it or
is
something.
this?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
You start a whole
like,
thing, and the waterfall's in charge, and
right. Like, I
you
mean,
go.
literally. So it's
Any
like,
of it, like
if they
rainbow,
jot
anything.
that down, how would you write about that? The very first time you saw it,
Right.
You've never seen anything like that before. How do you describe that?
Or a tornado, dude.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
like,
or a
imagine
volcano?
explaining a tornado
God
to
is
someone, but like,
pissed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Literally any lightning. Like, I mean, there's stuff like, I actually kind of like on that note, like the storms for whenever you can actually get really cool bolts of lightning, like where you like look in the sky and you get to see it like ionize out, like, and it like lights up. Again, to that point, the first time you see that, when you chiseled that down, what words?
Yeah.
Did you like? What the hell was it? Like,
Yeah,
well,
no,
I
that's
woke up
so
and I walked
true.
outside to, go pee.
You got to
and,
think
like,
of the language they were using at that time. What words did they have to
had to
describe
invent
something?
words,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, exactly. Very interesting.
So,
Very interesting.
It's kind of wild.
do you see that documentary on? I love like cult documentaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly because my wife and I watch them, and then we try to play a game of like, all right, at what point would you leave the cult? And usually I make it further because cults get bad for women pretty quickly. But but there was an episode. But
So true.
there is. Usually we're watching and we're like, all right, would you leave Nat? And she's like, no. And then like they cut the hair, and she's like, okay, I might leave then. And then I'm like, all right, do you have to? Yeah, I'd leave then.
Oh, that's funny, man.
No, that
That's
was
gonna
a lot
be
of fun.
Great
That was a
segue.
lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. No, I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you. You guys have been awesome guests. I feel like I have a lot of material. You guys are hilarious. I had a really hard time just not laughing. So,
Well, thanks for
lot of
having
respect.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having
thanks
me.
for having us, man.
Anytime. Love to come back.